I'm walking, the buckles are a little jingly. We are going to have a great day today. We are talking about a day in the life of a realtor today. Everybody's year off to a good start. Yeah, somebody tell me something good that's happening in your world since we hit the new year. Who has something to share? I would love it if everybody joining us can turn their cameras on, just so that way we stay super interactive through this. If you are driving, keep both hands on the wheel, Tom. But yet I would love if everybody would turn their cameras on, so that way it's so much easier. And as somebody that is facilitating, oh, I may have just gotten bumped out. Hold on. Oh, am I still on? Okay, somebody else signed in into this account. So I don't know if I got bumped out. But sometimes it's so hard just to talk to a screen full of names. So I would love it for everybody to put their cameras on. Good morning to everyone here. Ben, how's it going?
Good morning, Rhonda. How are you?
Great.
It's going really well.
Great.
How are
Awesome.
you?
Good. Happy New Year to everybody.
You as well.
The new year always excites me because it gives me the opportunity to reset my goals. And then it gives me the opportunity to re-identify my habits, which is really nice because you're always in the like, oh, hey, I'm going to get into shape, or, oh, hey, I'm going to do whatever thing you tell yourself every year.
So true.
But then I really like how you can then apply. I just started doing this recently. I took the smart plan capability and then I put on it my training guide for like readings. So I put on like, oh, hey, you should listen to this audiobook for 15 minutes. And then I set it to myself so it would give it to me once a day. And I was able to put in a few different books like that. So in the course of a week, my app on my phone just tells me, oh, hey, you have these tasks to do today. And then I'm able to, with that app now, I'm able to not only be able to keep track of, okay, I should read at these times, but then if I have any ideas while I'm listening, I can then be like, oh, I'm gonna chat with this person or call this person. And I found the new capabilities that we have as agents, leveraging the KW Command client relationship management functionality of your command system in the app, just really empowered me this year to take my business to the next level, or at least help other agents take their businesses to the next level.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So we're, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
For the new year, I'm seeing a lot of farm activity. I closed on a Foster, Rhode Island farm. We're under contract for one in the Preston area right now with a client. I have a 86-acre Christmas tree farm and a 38 listing on a 38-acre equestrian property in East Windsor. So seeing a lot of farm and agricultural related activity more than I've ever seen before, both interest in estates that they want to exit.
I love that, Tom. And I also want, Tom, I want to give you a little shout out here this morning too, as we get started. Tom is one of our mega agents here at Keller Williams Coastal in Rhode Island, and he's licensed Rhode Island, Connecticut. Tom is consistently on Ignite. Like every time we run it, Tom is always popping on. And, here's an agent who is super experienced, who does a lot of business every year, and he still comes to Ignite time and time and time again. because these tools and these tactics and these strategies that you're learning as a new agent in Ignite, these are things that as experienced agents that we need to be reminded of all the time. And it keeps your business fresh. It keeps your business on track to always be taking time for education and taking time to professionally develop yourself. So Tom, I just want to give a shout out to you. You are here consistently. And if any of you find yourself as you start your careers where you're running into Tom is amazing at commercial real estate. That is his forte. If you are doing a commercial transaction and you just need help, I know Tom is always so generous to talk with somebody. If it's something that you feel like I have no idea what I'm doing in this, talk to Tom and, work with him. You can always refer business to him, get a referral fee. He's willing to work with you in many capacities. And so I'm going to, at some point today, because Tom, you are driving, and so I won't let you do it, but we'll make sure Tom's information gets in the chat today and save it. And if you ever have commercial questions, please reach out to him. But Tom, thank you for always being here and supporting me.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, and the key, the beauty part is, Ignite and a lot of our Zoom, there's if you pay attention enough, there's always a goal to do and you forgot, and it just brings it back to the forefront. And it's amazing. There was one of the Ignites a short time ago, and it came up about negotiating, and we negotiate all the time and we forget things. And someone mentioned the fact that talk to the listing agent, find out what the needs of the seller are. And it's just like, of course, but a lot of times you forget because you're working on 10 deals. And one of the ones that I was working on, I called the other agent. There were 5 or 6 other offers, and one of the key points, less than price, was that if they could close in 30 days. It wouldn't share the reason, but we were able to close in 30 days, and we were the successful bidder on the property. So that was a takeaway from one of our Ignites, and I'm grateful for that.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you. So oh, great. Thank you, Sam. So I wanted to introduce your lineup of instructors today to all of you. For those of you that don't know us, I am Rhonda Messenborg. I am the team leader at Keller Williams Coastal in Rhode Island. I will put my contact information in the chat as well. If any of you have questions after today, if you need something, if you need help in your business, all 3 of us here that are on today, we would love to help you. So please lean on us, and please let us know how we can support your business. Just a couple words about myself, and then I'm going to turn it over to Sam and Ben as well to introduce themselves. I've been in real estate since 2007. That is when I got my real estate license. I joined real estate, came into real estate just as the bubble was crashing down around us. And had to learn very quickly how to have good business practices in a market that was very difficult. This market's a little bit, we're experiencing low inventory, multiple offers. It's not the easiest market in the world to come into and getting your real estate license. However, I always firmly believe that you want to come into a business that has some challenges, which we like to refer to as opportunities, because that's how you're going to learn to do good business. And then when the market's flowing, you're going to be a rock star because you're going to have all those really good business practices. When the market shifts, as markets always shift, you're also going to have those skills that you're going to be able to dig in, and you're going to know where to find business, how to get business, and keep your business alive and healthy. I joined Keller Williams in 2018. And continue to build a team here and grow my business here. And I became team leader about a little over a year ago in October, and have the pleasure of not only working with buyers and sellers through my brokerage business, but getting to work with agents just like all of you to help you grow your businesses and build your businesses and support you on every level. So I'm pleased to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm going to now let Sam Alpern, who is our productivity director here at Keller Williams Coastal, introduce himself. He is our co-instructor today.
So I'm the director of productivity for Keller Williams Coastal. I've been in the business for about 4.5 years. Run a team actually with Rhonda. We are co-rainmakers together of the Alpern and Messenborg group. I oversee our launch program along with our Coach to Cap program, which is essentially bring people after the launch phase of their career into a consistent capping status. I don't know, I've tried a lot of different things in real estate as I've gotten started early on in my career, fell on my face quite a bit. I'm quite frankly, to put humbleness aside, I'm very good at getting listings and scripting. So hopefully have a lot to be able to offer everybody today.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. And then Ben Miles, he is our Market Center Tech Trainer who is supporting today. And also Ben's amazing. He always has amazing things to add in. So instructor number 3, Ben, introduce yourself.
Hi, so my name is Benjamin Miles. I'm a long-term believer in Keller Williams models and systems. In high school, I used to spend my time reading The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, etc. with the books, and I always wanted to join Keller Williams. Then I did in 2018 as an agent at KW Cambridge, where I was an agent from 2018 to 2019. But what I did really well was I identified my 80-20 principle, my 80-20, and what I did really well was helping the other agents in the office with the technology, because I love those high-level conversations. And then before becoming a market center technical trainer, I made sure to gain experience working for a national hard money lender and insurance company, running the real estate networking events. And now I'm the market center technical trainer over in Worcester, Mass. At KW Pinnacle Central, and then also KW Metro West. We have about 200 plus agents in total. Super excited to be here, and I always look forward to learning on Ignite with all of you. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. So, so before we launch into our slideshow, who here can tell me what are you excited about so far that you've learned? This is our 9th session. So, what have you learned so far that you are super excited about in Ignite? Does anybody want to share? Just give me one. Just one of you share. Get this party.
I'll jump right out.
All right, and all
Morning,
right.
everybody. For me, I think my biggest aha takeaway so far is like zooming out from focusing on one type of lead gen, not being totally focused on attracting buyers. That's kind of an uphill climb right now. Zooming out and trying to figure out what can I do besides feed the Zillow beast, right? Not necessarily everybody's best friend. So for me, my big takeaway was I have 2 sell to buys that I picked up during the holidays just by being an active listener. I was listening to somebody being at a holiday dinner, mentioning that they wanted to get out of their condo. They didn't like all the noise. They wanted to move out to Coventry, Rhode Island. I'm developing that. And then I found a new listing that I'm going to be doing a CMA on. That was just, again, keeping my ears perked. Somebody behind me at the store had noticed my realtor pin. And I just spun around and I just kept working and working and working, handed over my business card. And we're going to be bringing that to the market probably in the next month. I didn't have to pay anything for that. I was just listening.
That
that's
is
kind of my big
amazing.
takeaway.
Yes,
Awesome job, Benjamin.
that's awesome. Everybody should have a realtor pin. It's like they're a couple of dollars, I think $5. And it just should have your name on it. They'll have your logo on it and say that you are a realtor. There are so many agents who get bit just like that. They go to the store, have their pin on, and people say, "Oh, hey, I have a question." Get yourself a realtor pin. That is amazing. That is awesome. Go ahead, Ben.
Just right up that alley it's the same way. If you're a military veteran, make sure you reach out to KW to get your military veteran pin. That can work the same way. Someone notices the KW and then they start a conversation. So just wanted to bring that up.
Love that, Ben. Thank you. No, thank you. That's a great reminder. Yes. And in Keller Williams, in your profile through Command, you can put your designation that you are a veteran and that what your military status is. So please do that, because we do want to make sure that we are honoring all of our agents who are serving in our military and recognizing you. And we do have, it's a pin that has the Keller Williams logo and it has the flag on it, that you can also wear. So yeah, absolutely. The other thing that you can do that it was a little easier pre-COVID when coffee shops were open and you could go into a coffee shop and work versus sitting, at home working, is they also have those stickers that you can put on the outside of your laptop that says like real estate professional, like ask me a question. I have gotten a listing off of having that sign working out of a Panera one day. Somebody walked up to me and said, hey, I have a question. I have a condo down the road, and we ended up listing it a couple of weeks later. So those are just great tips and they're super inexpensive. Like Ben says, you don't have to, pay for, buying leads. And that's the thing too, that I love so much about Ignite is, all of you here are here for a reason. Some of you are new agents, some like Tom have been in the business forever and looking for refreshed ideas and always taking that little nugget away. Absolutely. You guys are seeing each other day in, day out here. Those of you who are consistent in logging on, maybe you can't log on every day. Remember, everything's recorded. You can watch it later, but form relationships in this group. Like this is a little tribe for you, and form relationships. And as you get to know each other, absolutely reach out and say, hey, let's grab coffee. Let's kind of strategize a little bit on how we can help each other with some ideas in our business. So on the other side of that, who here is anybody experiencing any challenges or any obstacles that maybe the group can help you with? Is anybody experiencing anything like that?
I would say I'm probably experiencing some challenges. I've always been like, I'm so theatrical. I miss my calling. I should have done theater. And then now when it comes to the scripts, it's way more intimidating than I thought. And I felt like it was so redundant in the beginning, like do the scripts, but like it's 100% true. Like that, I think is my biggest challenge at this point, stopping me from really going out and getting the business, which some of it is right at my fingertips, I feel like. And I'm like ashamed of myself that I haven't even gone at it and gone at the opportunity, but it's the scripts and what I'm supposed to say that's holding me back.
Yeah, and I'm going to let Sam jump in here in 1 second because this is his specialty, and I want to say, Catherine, and thank you for acknowledging that, because I guarantee that probably at least half to 3/4 to almost of the agents sitting on this call right now are happy you said it, because that is, sometimes it can be super intimidating that you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just saying, hi, how are you? Hey, I'm just calling to check in on you. Every phone call doesn't need to be a hard sell for real estate. It really comes from the care side, and then real estate will naturally flow. But I'm going to let Sam add on to that, because as our productivity coach, he is just amazing at that.
So we have a scripts class every Friday that we run. And last week, we didn't speak about a specific script for most of it. We spoke about some of the concepts behind scripts. So I just want to bring those up and bring it to everybody's attention. For when a lot of people think about scripts, they could come from the perspective that it is salesy, that it is cheesy, that they'll sound robotic. And my opinion is then just don't be those things. If you don't want to be salesy, then don't put on a hard sale. If you don't want to be robotic, practice it, use some inflection in your voice, make sure that you're, using the right tonality. You're letting your character and your personality shine through. And also, over time, you're not necessarily going to have to just read off of this book or off of this one pager. You'll be able to, start internalizing those things and have it become a part of who you are. And you may have this perfect script in front of you, and you end up saying only 70% of what was there, and the other 30% kind of just came out organically and naturally. And that's the way that it really should be, as long as you're getting that same message across, and you're leading the conversation in the right direction. Recognize you don't have to say exactly what is on the page right there. Also recognize that the person on the other end of the phone, I know in Ignite, a lot of agents here today may be newer in the business, or are wanting a refresher if they are a little bit more seasoned. The other person on the phone, they don't know what you look like. They don't know how long you've been in the business. They don't know what your script says. So if you butcher it, that there's nothing wrong with that. To them, it was perfect. To you, you're worried about, oh my God, I didn't say that at all. I had a completely different message. And they're like, oh my God, Catherine is such a nice lady. I'm glad that she called me today.
Yeah, that's totally what it
That,
is. I
you
feel
know,
like there's so many things that I want to go over. And then when I get to it, I'm like, I don't even know where to begin.
So I think having a script partner, and we have 30 people that are on the call right now today. I know agents in our market center, some of our top producers, they have script partners that are local. They also have script partners they've been working with for a number of years that came through doing regional things like Ignite and Bold from people that they've met in this type of group. Because think about it, the 30 people that are here today are 30 of the newer agents, or 30 of the agents in general, that really want to make real estate a reality for them. And you're going to have other agents that are in your market center that joined at the same time as you did, that decided not to show up today, that had the availability and decided not to show up. They're going to face a little bit of an uphill battle because of that. So, you know, work with the people that are really intentional about doing this. I also know a lot of people in regards to scripting, they have a family member or a friend that they do script practice with. That's completely fine. That's beneficial. That friend or family member that's not in real estate isn't having real estate conversations every day. So they don't know what objections are commonly coming up. They also don't know how to coach you through those things. So, you know, Catherine, you work with Amanda Crane, and she's also having these calls every day. And she says something, you both practice the script. You do it one time that you're the seller, and then she does it one time she's the seller. You both practice that script, and something that Amanda says, you might be like, you know what, I really liked how she phrased that. I'm going to start implementing that myself. But your cousin that you've known for, you know, your whole life, they don't have those conversations. They can't give you that perspective.
Right.
And then the last thing that I want to say about scripts, because I can go on for hours about this, is that in regards to scripts, again, looking at the salesy piece of it, I think it's completely opposite. And the reason for that is it allows you to have a powerful conversation and really learn what the person is looking to achieve. If you can figure out, is now the right time? If it is the right time, what are you looking to accomplish? If it's not the right time, what are your goals in general, and how can I help you? How can I just be of service to you and start building a relationship? Whether or not it leads to a direct real estate transaction right now is fine. The scripts will allow you to do that. It gives you a real direction when you're picking up the phone. Because I can call you today, Catherine, and say, hey, Catherine, this is Sam Alpern, Keller Williams Coastal. Notice your property had expired, or I was calling around the neighborhood. I have buyers that are looking in the area, whatever the script might be. And you say, yeah, I'm not interested. And I say, all right, have a good day, click. There might have been some other way that I could have helped you. And that doesn't mean it's salesy. That means that I actually care, and I'm not just picking up the phone for the next person to get to that sale. I'm not thinking about the transaction. I'm thinking about you, the individual person, and your family, and how I can help all of you, whether you're looking to transact now or not.
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Sam. We're going to continue talking about that. And that's a lot of what Ignite is too, Catherine. So, you know, you're going to get more and more comfortable as you go. So, you know, definitely stick with it. And again, good for you for speaking up.
Thank you.
Amanda, I saw that you raised your hand.
I did. No, I just wanted to back up a little bit on the scripting also, is that this is my second time in Ignite at the behest of Sam. Go do it again, go do it again, go do it again. The first session of Ignite was in November for me, and I was petrified of the scripting and just frozen solid in it and just couldn't even think or turn the wheels in the brain. I was just frozen. I was able to kind of digest some things, and then I'm back for my second time with Ignite right now. And I feel that it's actually settling in me finally. I do have a script partner, and I was working with her yesterday. She's not on here today, with Liza. And I have to say, she helped me a lot in a sense, because I think that sometimes when we're practicing the scripts here, it sounds very mechanical. But when I was practicing with her, we kind of looked off into the distance. We didn't look at each other and pretended we were really friends on the phone, reconnecting. And I could tell that I really felt she wasn't being salesy. So that was extremely helpful for me. Anyway, just keep practicing. That's kind of, I need to keep practicing too. There's a lot more to go, but anyway, just keep going.
You're going to fall on your face quite a bit. The way to get around that is, one, continue to push through, and two, practice, to Amanda's point. So when I started the business, that I was doing about 95% of my day and business came through cold calls. And that's not necessarily for everybody, but regardless of if you're calling some random person you've never met before, or if you're calling your best friend or your cousin or whoever it might be, you still have certain scripts that you're utilizing, and you're going to fall on your face. And I'll give you a quick example. There was an expired listing I was calling probably about 2 years ago. And keep in mind, I'm now at this point about 2.5 years in the business, having done cold calls to expired listings just about every day. And there was a name that I could not pronounce. And I picked up the phone. I couldn't pronounce the first name. I couldn't pronounce the last name. And I had started saying one of the two. I can't remember if I was saying the first or the last name. And in the middle of it, I was like, you know what? This is just not the one for me. I hung up the phone, and then I gave myself maybe about 3 seconds, and I got right onto the next call with the next person. Because there's, a million people in Rhode Island. I'm going, if that one, I can call them later today. They're not going to know I was the person that hung up and I was butchering their name. But if I would have dwelled on that, that wasn't going to help me with the next call. So, you're going to fall on your face. The seasoned agents fall on their face once in a while, so much that they might not even get the hello out correctly at times, like I did. So recognize it's going to happen. It's natural. You are going to think it's happening 10 times more or 10 times worse than it actually is, because again, they don't know what you're supposed to be saying on the other end of the phone.
Ben, do you have your hand up?
Yes,
and
I
Sue
do.
also, I know Sue does as well.
I just wanted to say really quickly that that we need to, that agents are sort of like NBA players, right? NBA players, you go to practice and you want to practice against a lot of different type of competitors before you go into game day. So I look at it the same way. So when I think about script practice and script practice partners, it's not about finding the one script partner. It's about finding a diversified collection of script partners. That way I get a diversified experience before going on my calls. If that's my plan to do it, I want to be prepared in any situation, not just the situation with my family member. That's great if I'm going out and reaching to my sphere of influence. But if I'm reaching to a total stranger on a cold call, I need to get the experience of, if I reached out to one of you on Ignite, and I don't know any of you that well, if I talked to one of you and did script practice, that's like practicing for a cold call. But if I talk to someone in my office, that might be, okay, now I'm practicing with a friend. Or, okay, I'm going to practice with my brother. I'm going to practice working with my sphere. So that's how I look at it. Maybe that will help some of you with thinking about how you do script practice, because it's all about not how long you do it. There's no time frame, and you're not going against anyone. You're just going against yourself from yesterday. And that's how I look at it.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much, Ben. And Sue, I saw your hand raised.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I just, I thought I would share very quick, I'll summarize it as best possible, but the whole practice part of scripts, I think when you're brand new, it's so easy to assume when you hear somebody let scripts roll off their tongue that they're just this natural at it. And decade ago, I think, at Family Reunion, there were a bunch of mega agents who did a script off class, and I didn't really know too many of them at that point, but I had a chance to meet a fabulous KW agent, Lisa Archer, like a year later. And I said, I still think about that script off that you did last year and how amazing you just naturally seem to be at this. And she just burst out laughing. She's like, oh God, no, I've done language of sales like 5 times. I practice it every day. So when you're new and you look at these people who are so good at these things, it's a natural presumption that they're just natural at it. It's all the practice. So follow in those footsteps and you'll get there too. And these things just roll off your tongue and you don't even think about it anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is great. Great advice. Absolutely. All right, terrific. All right, well, let's jump in. Let me share my screen. Sure, the slide deck up here. A lot of things open. Okay, there. There we go. Everybody can see my screen? Let me just bring my notes up here. All right. So I know you guys have seen this slide. You're seeing it every single day that you are in Ignite. And just as a reminder, these are the things that successful agents that we do every single day is we have to grow our business and then we also have to run our business. Those are the two things that we do. Growing our business, we need to lead generate, make seller listing presentations, buyer presentations, preview real estate. To run our business, we need to market and show houses. We're negotiating contracts. We're handling transactions and managing them throughout the process. We also have vendors that we are working with, lenders, title companies, attorneys, et cetera. So it's also managing those relationships with those vendors. They can also become vendor partners to you, sponsor something that you're doing in your business. So maintaining those relationships. It's important to be setting goals, right? We're going to talk about your 411 in a couple of minutes that hopefully everybody has set up their business plan. You have your GPS and your 411 filled out. So you have the map way to what your goals are this year and the map to get there, the systems and the tools. You need to run compliance and risk management, right? We're here, even if we have some guests on here that are non-Keller Williams, this is across the board. You have to submit your paperwork into your brokerage company. All your paperwork needs to be completed. So you need to make sure that you are handling the compliance side of your contracts, et cetera. We're dealing with legal contracts on a daily basis. And here you are, you need to attend trainings. And we talked about career development, business development. You need to put time into that. And then you also need to manage your money. Hopefully everybody here, even though you are maybe just starting a brand new career in real estate, you started a real estate business and you are running it with a business plan. And also you're running off of a P&L statement every single month. It's never too early to start using a P&L. And sometimes I am always shocked that some of our very experienced agents that say, oh no, I'm not running off of a P&L. You should have a P&L every single month so you know what your income was, what your expenses were, and you know what you are bringing into you and your family's pocket as profit. So that's very important as well. So we are talking about growing. We are going to talk about growing your business, running your business today. I'm actually really excited. I teach a lot of the Ignite sessions, as I know Sam and Ben do as well. This is my first time teaching this one a day in the life of a realtor, and I'm like super excited. When I went through the topics of which ones I wanted to teach this session, I saw this one and I'm like, oh, I haven't taught that one before. And I just love I love this. So I'm super excited to be here and walk us through this one today. And so this quote here by F.M. Alexander, people do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. So what does this quote mean to you? When you sit here and look at this quote on the screen, what does it tell you? What does it mean for you? Is there anything that comes to mind as you read that and digest it? Anyone want to share? No one?
If
Sam?
nobody's going to share, I'm going to call on one of the agents from my market center.
Tough love, guys. Tough love here with Sam.
Anybody else need some caffeine? Cheers.
Sam, I'll do the same thing and reach out to call on my agents from my office as well.
Amanda, you're one of our star students. What does this say to you right now?
Oh, me, Amanda? I think we have a few
Yeah.
Amandas.
Amanda Crane.
Okay. Basically setting up our systems. I've also been reading Atomic Habits, so I think that we're only as good as our systems. Whereas what's the term? Whereas, do you guys know this? We're as good as our systems. We'll just leave it that way. But so I think it's just our habits day to day, and setting up the 411 and making the 10 calls and the 10 handwritten cards, inputting our contacts in every day, but doing it every day consistently and having conversations consistently. So just being consistent with your habits and using your systems.
So this says here that we don't decide our futures. Does that mean that you have to build the habit first before you can figure out where you want to go?
I say yes.
Okay, so I'm going to shift that perspective a little bit. We can reverse engineer this. So Gary Keller says this quote quite frequently, and he also says that when we set goals, the objective of a goal, the reason to set a goal is not to hit the goal, it's to be intentional in the moment. So when we look at this first part, people do not decide their futures. You can decide your future, but you can't just say, I want to make $1 million one day and have 3 vacation properties, or that I want to make $100,000 this year and poof, it happens. If you want to make $100,000 this year, you absolutely can make that a reality through the second part about deciding what your habits are. And then that third part, their habit will decide the future. If I want to make $100,000 this year, my first year in real estate, I need to do the activities consistently. I need to build that habit of the person that is looking to make or makes $100,000 in real estate on a yearly basis. And then if I consistently do that over the course of this year, I will make that $100,000. That's one of the things that I really love about real estate, that you can get very granular if you choose to, and reverse engineer this big vision that you have, that future that you're looking for, and have an idea of what do I need to do today and this week in order to be successful. And if you're successful with it more often than not, you're going to have a very good chance of hitting that overall objective that you have. So Rhonda alluded to the 411 and a GPS that we'll speak about today. And that's going to give you an understanding of what are these habits that I'm looking to cultivate for myself. But I would say, why do you want that habit? And why you want that habit is for this future that you're looking to build.
Perfect. Exactly. Are all of you familiar with what the mission of Keller Williams Realty is? Who knows what the mission statement for Keller Williams Realty? So when Gary Keller created Keller Williams Realty, his mission is to build a career worth having, a business worth owning, a life worth living, experiences worth giving, and a legacy worth leaving. That is the mission behind Keller Williams Realty, and what, as leadership, we want to help all of you achieve. When you come to Keller Williams, it's not about hanging your license and going out and selling some houses. It's about creating your life by design. You'll hear leadership talk a lot of times about creating a life by design, not by default. And that's what this comes into, right? That is why we push so hard through education and training and habits, and making sure that our agents are working within the business plan and having a 411 and a GPS. And we're going to talk about those today. So by the end of today, you're going to have your 411 complete, your GPS and your 411. If not completed, you're going to be well on your way to be able to do that. Sam holds classes he's doing a business planning clinic on Friday. He does sessions on creating your GPS and your 411. Any of you, regardless as if you're in our market center or not in our market center, you're not with your guest here on Ignite and with another company, you are always welcome to jump into any trainings that we're holding, because this is what is going to drive your business and give you that life by design that you are looking for. This is going to be the catalyst. And we're also going to talk today about blocking your calendar. So a day in the life of a realtor, it is about being purposeful with our time. And we're going to talk about our big rocks and our top 20% and all of those things. So that way you can look at your calendar on a daily basis and you can build it. So we're not just flying by the seat of our pants every day and reacting to whatever is happening around us for the day, but yet you can start your day with a plan and you can execute on that plan because you're systematized. Make sense? Throwing stuff around. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, so this is just an example here of what a calendar can look like for a real estate agent. You should all be working within some calendar system. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're utilizing your KW email, you have a Google Calendar that is associated with your Keller Williams email. I have my Gmail that I've had forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I feed my Keller Williams calendar into that. I have a few different email addresses. Sam and I have one domain for our team as well. I feed everything into my master calendar so I can see at a glance what I have going on, my time blocks for lead generation, time blocks for appointments. You can get, as Sam, I love the word granular, you can get as granular as you want with your calendar so you know where it's a roadmap for what you should be doing every day. The one thing with that is it's wonderful to create the calendar. The next step is to honor your calendar and to honor your time and to make sure we're going to talk about your top 20%, those big rocks of things that are really important that you need to get done during the day, to make sure that those things are getting happen. And then you can buffer in some time so that way you have time to check emails, and you have to make sure that you're running a well-established calendar that is balanced and makes sense for you. If you have children, you definitely, and if you need to be out from, 2 to 3 to go do school pickup, make sure it's in your calendar. So that way, it's blocked, it's there. And then that's going to help keep your day organized. It's also going to keep a little bit of stress out of your day. If you can look at your calendar, know where you need to be next. Oh, go ahead, Sam.
We have a few agents saying they're interested in the chat.
Oh, good.
I'll mention, I don't know if they're asking regarding the business planning clinic or about the GPS and 411 that I mentioned, but I am going to mention the 411 because when we're looking at this time block right now for a calendar, so is the next part the 411 anyway? Or are we jumping ahead? Am I good to talk about the 411, Rhonda?
Yeah, go for it.
So the 411 I would say this would be for anyone that is within their first year, if they're not yet doing, let's say, one transaction a month consistently. What I would look at, and these are the things that you want to have on that calendar. And I'm breaking this down to the weekly part of the 411. So you can see on the bottom there, it says week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. A 411 is taking your goal for the year, breaking that down into this next 1 month, what you need to do to be on track, and then breaking this next month into each of the next 4 weeks. So it's these 4 weeks that make up 1 month and 1 year. And what I would recommend for the goal, and this would be your goal on both the annual goal on both the 411 and on your GPS, is to have the number of transactions that you're looking to complete on the year. And if you want to change the phrasing of that to the number of families served, if that's going to be more helpful for you, then I would do that. But the reason for it is this vision you have for life financially. How can real estate be a vehicle for you? And what would that mean you'd need to do in terms of the number of transactions on the year? I would have that be the goal. Number of transactions or number of families served. And then the monthly goal, I'm sure at some point so far we've spoken about the economic model in Ignite. If you haven't spoken about the economic model, or if you need more clarification on that, definitely reach out to your mentor, your productivity coach, or just somebody in your leadership, along with the MREA, the economic model. The economic model is going to give you an understanding of how many appointments would you need on the year to get to that goal of transactions. So let's say hypothetically, my goal is 24 transactions. And I'm just going to give an arbitrary number for the number of appointments. Let's say that means I need to go on 72 appointments on the year. Well, then I would be able to take 72, divide it by 12 to figure out how many I should be striving to book this month, and that's 6. So the goal on the year would be 24 families served. The monthly goal would be to schedule 6 appointments. That's not 6 showings, that's 6 consultations with buyers or sellers. Because if you schedule those 6 showings, that's going to put you on track for the 24 sales. If you close 2 properties, that doesn't put you on track. The appointments will lead to those closings. And then the weekly goal, if we break that down per week, we know that we'd be having to schedule about 1.5 appointments a week. And what allows you to have that opportunity, you'd have what I'd look at for an agent that's not yet doing 1 transaction a month. I would do 3 priorities. Number 1, and these are in order. You don't move on to number 2 until you've completed number 1. Number 1 is your lead generation and follow-up. So when we are thinking of that calendar that Rhonda had up, Rhonda, could you go back to that calendar for a moment?
Absolutely. Let's see if I can do this. I think I hit the button by mistake, Sam. That's why I went off of it. Come on. Hold on. Give me a second. There we go.
Okay, so when we look at this, we have that second part, daily success habits, lead gen and lead follow-up. That's the first thing I'd have on your GPS, on your 411. That's also the first thing that I would time block on your calendar. Second is going to be adding those people to command or updating your command. And there's, I'd say, 4 core pieces that you want within command as you're starting. Number 1 is that you need to have the contact in there along with all their contact information. Number 2 is to have notes on how the conversation went. Number 3 would be having either task reminder to reach out to them in the future, or more preferably having a smart plan. So you don't have to recreate that system every time. And there are smart plans in the published library that you can download and just start implementing right away. And then number 4, if you've completed those 3 things within the context for command, is to add people that are looking to do something within the next year to opportunities. And I'm not going to dive deep into that right now, but I would add anyone that's in your pipeline to that cultivate phase of opportunities so you can manage those people and have an understanding of how many people do I have in my database right now that might do something in the next year, whether it be with me or with somebody else. So first we have lead gen and lead follow-up. Second, we have command. And if I've now done both of those things, I've earned the right to do the next. So number 3, in my opinion, would be learning the market. Learning how to use your MLS and starting to monitor MLS. Now we have a lot of other things that are on this calendar that's in front of us right now. I'd recommend you just focus on those 3. You get those 3 time blocked, because then we have running the business activities. Well, if I don't have any listings to market, then I can't jump to marketing the listings. And I also don't necessarily want to have this completely robust calendar before I've built the habits on those core 3 activities. Because I don't want to say, you know what, my lead generation time is up. I know I didn't get much done, but now it's time for lunch. And then I get back from lunch and now I need to start reading the different contracts that we'll be working on. That is certainly important. But the only reason you'd ever be able to use one of those contracts is if you have the client to begin with. And this might sound a little harsh, and agents that are in our coaching program have definitely heard me say this. If you can write the best purchase and sales agreement in the world, you know all the correct terms, you know where to put them, or you write the best listing agreement, and you don't have any clients, you're going to end up doing that for someone like me for $15 an hour. And I would imagine a lot of the people that are taking the time to be on this call today, that's not going to, over the course of a number of years lead to what you're looking to accomplish. On the flip side, if you don't know how to write the purchase and sales agreement, and I'll get to the question in the chat in a moment. If you don't know how to write a purchase and sales agreement, you can be taught that through the transaction, or you can learn it along the way as you are focusing on building up your pipeline for business. Or you get to a certain point that you don't want to do certain parts of a transaction, you can always hire somebody else to do those pieces. But those are going to be the 3 core pieces. And in that order: lead gen and lead follow-up, having conversations with people, managing your database, and learning the market and how to utilize tools like MLS. The motivation building time, the question in the chat, that's really just getting your mind in the right place. So however you do that, some people, it might be going to the gym, it might be having their coffee, it might be getting their papers organized or getting their call list organized for the day. For me, it's usually listening to a podcast or listening to music. And anyone that's seen me do lead generation knows that I have my AirPods on me at all times, and I'll have my AirPods in. What they don't know is in between calls, I have some music going on that I'm just, keeping myself having that positive energy as I'm doing the lead gen. And then once I click call for that next dial, the music auto pauses. And then once I get off the phone, it starts back up. I take my notes from the conversation, I get right back into the next one. So motivation building time is really just getting your mind in the right place, whatever way is going to be best for you.
Awesome. Any other questions on that? That's awesome, Sam. Hope everybody wrote all of those little nuggets down. And Sam can put those steps in the chat as well for us. So just what he was going over. Catherine says, a little off topic, but this is a big thing for me. How and where do you practice contracts besides practicing through the transaction? That's a great question, Catherine. There are typically a lot of the market centers will have form classes that you can go through, specifically go through the forms as well. If you have a mentor, if you have a mentorship program in your market center, your mentor can also help you go through forms. And also, if you have questions, just reach out to your leadership and they'll be able to point you in the specific direction as to how to fill out the forms, because depending on the state you're in and where you are, your forms are going to be different. So it's a very localized thing. One suggestion is to download the forms before you're in a transaction, before you're getting into that first transaction. Download the forms, read through them, go through and highlight anything you don't understand. A lot of our forms, depending on what the form is, it could be legally binding. So you want to make sure that you understand it, because you're going to have to explain it to your seller or to your buyer client. So go through and just highlight anything that you don't understand in that form, and then go to leadership, go to your team leader, go to, somebody on the leadership staff, and to say, hey, I need to sit down with somebody and I need to go over this form because there's a couple of things I don't understand. If you have a productivity coach in your office, perfect. If you have a mentor, perfect. There's a lot of people on leadership who are going to be able to either help you and or direct you to somebody that you can sit with. And that's a great question, and it's a great reminder for all of us, just to really make sure you do understand those forms, so that way because you'll be comfortable if you can explain it comfortably to your client. Okay, great. All right, so let's move on here. Close the chat. So Sam, great job on the 411. You got, I think on page 3 or 4 in your participant guide, there is a blank 411 that you can fill out for yourself. And then any of us here are happy to review that with you as well. We all put our contact in the chat. We'll do it again towards the end if anybody had jumped on, because if you jump on new, you only get the chat from when you jumped on, to make sure you have all of our contact information. And we're happy. Like I said, Sam does a lot of classes, group sessions, and all of you are always willing to jump on that calendar and find out when those events are. So the next thing that we're going to talk about today, and we kind of alluded to it a little bit with the calendar up, is the 80-20 principle. Is everybody here familiar with the 80-20 principle? And if you're not, it's okay. Are you not familiar with the 80-20 principle? I can only see a couple of you because we're sharing the screen. If somebody does understand what it is and wants to explain it, take yourself off mute and do that. No? Okay, so we're going to explain it then. We're going to explain it to you. So the 80-20 principle, and the 80-20 principle, this is, let me get this, what exactly, I want to say it exactly how they say it because they did a great thing. And I'm going to give you an analogy that you're going to put it into perspective. So we also refer to our 20%. What is your 20%? Your 20% is also referred to as your big rocks. What are the things that you need to put the effort into on a daily basis? So 20% of your effort is going to result in 80% of your results. But what are those most important things that you need to take that 20% and that you need to spend time on? For all of us as real estate professionals, it's lead gen. That is one of our big rocks. If you are not lead generating and you are not bringing business into your world, then you are not going to get those results that you need. Now, sometimes, you know, that lead gen, right? Sometimes that can be the scariest part of our business, the most uncomfortable part of our business. Yet there's so many ways to lead generate, and we're going to talk about that. But that's the most important thing. And sometimes that's the thing we push off the most. And we get sucked into the 80% of our day, right? We get sucked into the 80% tasks, things that yep, you need to do. Yet if you don't handle the 20% of things that are going to build your business first, your day is going to be out of balance and you're not going to get the results that you want. So Vilfredo Pareto, and I might have totally butchered that name, but that's what I'm going to go with at the moment. He was an Italian economist. He discovered that 20% of our activities yield 80% of our results. When our actions are not focused on the 20% matters, we don't get the results we want. The 80-20 principle may sound counterintuitive, but it works. The converse of the 80-20 principle is also true. 80% of our effort yields 20% of our results. So we talked about that the 20%, we can also refer to them as big rocks. So we're going to use this analogy. So imagine that you have a cup. Imagine that you have a big cup, and next to your cup, you have some big rocks. Then you have some smaller rocks. And then you have some sand. You have a pile of sand. So, and the cup is going to signify, the cup is your day. The cup is your calendar of what you're going to fill your time with. And the big rocks, the smaller rocks, and the sand all signify activities during your day, right? The big rocks are that 20% of things that you need to get done. The smaller rocks signify things that definitely need to get done, that are absolutely important for that need to happen. And then the sand is all the filler and the stuff in between. So imagine so I'm going to show you two ways. So now imagine if you went to your sand, right? All of those things that it's kind of like filler and you don't need it. Imagine that you poured those into your cup. Well, if you fill your cup with sand, there's no more room in your day. You're not going to be able to put any little rocks or any big rocks into your cup. Now let's start in the middle. So say you took your cup and you start with the smaller rocks, the things that are important in your day and they still need to get done. But yet if you start with those and you fill your cup with those rocks, and then maybe you add some sand in around, your cup is not going to have any room for your big rocks. So you may have accomplished a lot of things that got done, but you didn't get the most important things that you need to get done. That's going to yield you the most results. Now let's take a look at it this way. So you take your cup and first you put your big rocks in your cup, right? And now if you can imagine a cup that has big rocks in it, there's space in between those big rocks, right? Because if you look at each one of those things, they're different. They're going to fill the cup differently, and it's going to leave white space. It's going to leave space in between them. So if you start with your big rocks and you fill your cup, you still have space in between that then you can take your small rocks and you can sprinkle in your small rocks, right? And they're going to fill in some of that space around your big rocks. So now your big rocks are done, your smaller rocks are done. And then you can take your sand. And then if you pour the sand in, it's going to fill in the rest of all of that stuff. So now you're going to have your day or your cup that's going to be filled, and you're going to have gotten your big rocks done, your smaller rocks done, and you're going to be able to fill the rest in with those things that, you know, you'd still like to do. They still need to get done, but they're a lot less important. Does that make sense? I remember the first time, so this is from the 6 personal perspectives. When, I'm not going to say if, when you all have the chance to take the 6 personal perspectives, which is another, I always call them like our Keller Williams signature training courses, because it's one that we just thrive on. Please take it. And the 6 personal perspectives was actually the very first class I ever took at Keller Williams. I was actually an agent with another brokerage, and I was invited to take the 6 personal perspectives, and I took it. Jen Bovey and Chris Grant were the instructors, and we were here in Rhode Island. I took it back then, pre-COVID, it was in person. And I remember Jen doing this analogy with us, and it was the biggest aha to me. Like it blew my mind, because once you state it like that, it just, you can imagine that cup, right? And for me as an agent, you know, for many years, I struggled with my calendar, and I would take care of the sand first. And because, you know, the sand tends to be the more fun things that we want to do, right? So I would be like, oh, I'm going to get this stuff done first, and I'll get to my lead gen later, right? And I would end up filling my day with the sand. And then maybe I would put a few, I'd have a little bit room for some small rocks, but the big rocks never got in my cup on many, many, many days. And so it was such an eye opener for me. And when I'm planning my calendar, I always think of the 80-20 rule, and I always think of the cup analogy. So thoughts on that? I'm going to check our chat here. Oh, great. Thank you, Ben. Ben put a link where you can watch it on YouTube, the 6 personal perspectives. Awesome, Ben. Thank you so much. Great, Sam. Thank you. Perfect. So any thoughts on that? Okay. So let's move on. Let's see, it's 10 o'clock now. Let me see where we are, because I want to make sure I give you guys a break. If anybody needs a quick break, let's see where we're at. Okay, we're gonna do a couple more slides, and then we're gonna take a break. So right now, can everybody turn to page 5 in your participant guide? So when you're developing your daily objectives, it's important to focus on how to measure towards the goal that you identified. So for your goals, you want to make sure right here on my screen where it says identifiable. So identifiable, what is that goal, right? So for your daily objectives, my goal is, let's say, lead gen, right? Making phone calls, calling my database. It should also be metric driven. How are you going to measure your progress towards the attainment of each goal you set? Right? So like as Sam said, you can utilize the command system or your CRM system. So that way you are either moving people through your pipeline, you're setting notes on them. So that way you can go back, track a log, have a log sheet of tracking how many calls you're making, what happened, who you need to follow up with. You want to make sure that it's metric driven. So that way you know how you did. You want to make sure that your goal is attainable. Right? You don't want to set a goal. Ben, go right ahead. You want to jump in?
I do, just really quickly.
Please.
So Sometimes I find that agents get stressed out whenever we talk about metrics. So I always like to make the analogy of think about your life as a video game, and the metrics are how you can tell how much stats, attack, or defense you have as a main character of your video game. And then if you just think about it that way, keeping track of the metrics turns into a game, and you can utilize gamification to make it more fun.
Awesome. Yeah, and like, for example, if anybody has heard of, and I'm going to probably butcher it because I always get the letters in the wrong order, but is it DTD2? Is that what it is, Sam? Is it DTD2? Yeah. Where you can take letters of the alphabet if you're doing your, if you're making care calls to people in your database, just to check in with them. You can gamify it by doing this DTD2. Sam, what does that stand for? Tell us.
Do the database.
Oh, do the database. Yeah. Okay. And there was like do the database too. There's a DTD3, but you take two letters. So today you're going to call everybody with the last name that starts with A and everybody that starts with the last name of Z. And those are going to be your calls today. And then tomorrow you're going to do B and you're going to do Y. And then the next day you're going to do C and you're going to do the next letter up. I can't go backwards in the alphabet. The brain just doesn't do that. But you're going to make a game out of it. And that way too, one good thing about doing DTD2 is that then you don't miss anybody, because sometimes be like, you know what, I'm going to call people I know today. And then you kind of cherry pick who you want to call. And then you end up spending most of your time going, you know what, I haven't talked to them in a while. I missed their birthday. So I feel bad. I'm just not going to call them. I'm going to, with this person, I'm not really sure what they're doing. I'm going to move by them. And by the time you get through the time you've blocked for lead gen, you've only made 3 calls because you just knocked everybody off and had a reason why you weren't going to call them. Whereas if you do this gamify system, it's like everybody with the last letter of A, I am calling them today, right? Or I'm going to send a text message today. It doesn't have to always be a phone call, right? You can send a text message. And Catherine, talking about like scripts that are it's such an easy call to make, is calling somebody and saying, hey, hey, Sam, this is Rhonda Messenborg with Keller Williams Realty. I wanted to let you know that I just got my license recently and I just affiliated with Keller Williams Realty, and I'm super excited about it. I have set a goal to help 10 families this year buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And if you are thinking that now is the time that you may be thinking of doing that, I would love the opportunity to sit down and talk with you. And that's all you have to say. If they say, oh, you know what, we're not thinking right now, that's not in the cards for us. You know what, great, I totally understand. Is it possible that I just put a little note, maybe check in with you for 6 months? Or if you know somebody else who's thinking of buying, selling, or investing, would you please share my information with them? Because I would love for the opportunity to talk with them and to reach my goal this year. People who love you and know you, they want to help you, right? And so it's just, if they don't know what you do, then they can't ask you for help. And that's one thing I think for all of us to remember is as we're making phone calls, if they don't know that you are in real estate, and we might think everybody knows because they pay attention to Facebook and I posted it. But yet, a lot of us have so many friends on Facebook. Sometimes our news feed filters things out, or they may not been on Facebook that day. They may have missed your post that you are now a real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty. So by calling them and letting them know that, if they don't know, then they can't ask you for help. And sometimes, and just to start out, if you're super scared even about doing that, then just, reach out to people and say, hey, I'm just calling to say, I just want to check in with you. I just wanted to let you know, I just got my real estate license. How are you? How's business? How's your family? You don't even have to ask them for business, just to get yourself kind of going and get in the realm of making phone calls and reaching out to people,
And
right.
I
That's
like
okay.
that.
That's okay too. Give yourself some grace.
Yeah, when you said like, hi, or whatever, I'm calling about real estate, I'll be calling again in 6 months. That I think is something that I need to implement, because what I say to people, like, I'm not going to be hounding you, but like, I'm going to be reminding you, but I do like that you let them know that another call will be coming, because it's like, when I go to do that other call, I'm like, they don't want to hear me again. They're going to say no again. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to be like the people trying to sell like the Monet hair stuff on Facebook. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be annoying.
Can
Yes,
I
absolutely.
say
ahead,
one
Ben.
thing to that? I loved how you put that, because what you're trying to do when you're calling the people in your database is provide value to them. So if you go in it with the mindset of, okay, hey, I want to call this person, and when I get off the phone, I want them to get more value to their day. If you go in it in the mindset of you're providing the value with the phone call, think about it this way: because they got that phone call, they might have had a crappy day, but you made their day better by giving them value. So if you change your perspective to, hey, I'm reaching out because they don't know how I can help them. Once they know how that I can help them, they're going to see value in that phone call. And they may think that if I view it that way, every single week that I reach out to this person, I'm thinking of, hey, they don't see it, but I'm trying to provide them excellent value. So if you think about it that way, instead of, oh, hey, I need to reach out and call them and get them the real estate business, switch your paradigm into, hey, how do I provide value? If it's, oh, you talk to them and let's say they're working on a project and you go, oh, hey, do you want to know the marketing statistics of that area? Great, I'll send you a quick thing over. Just little things like that can just keep you top of mind in real estate. It doesn't have to be a whole selling them each time.
Right. I shouldn't be so all or nothing with it.
Yeah, it doesn't even need to be that every conversation even brings up real estate. You don't have, you could just see how life is going. If I call somebody and I know that they're not looking to do something for the next, 5+ years, I don't have to bring up them buying a house every quarter when I'm calling them and saying hello. I can just see how their kids are doing, see how their dog is. I saw they got a new puppy on Facebook, give them a call, dog looks cute, whatever it might be. And then in terms of offering value, I don't know if this hit everywhere in New England, but I believe it was last Friday, we had a snowstorm. We probably got about 6 inches. Those people that you can call in that week leading up to it, that the snowstorm is coming, or at least a few days leading up to it, being able to say, hey, do you need anybody that would be available to plow or something like that? And I'm not necessarily paying for it, but maybe I had previously called on a couple of plow companies and I know of a few that are available in that area. So I can say, I'll shoot you over a text with a couple of numbers for people that you can reach out to. I had spoken to these companies. They should have some openings still. That's value that has nothing to do with the real estate transaction. Real estate transaction, we offer a service, but that's not the only value that we bring.
So just following up on that, Sam, I really like that. And this is a piece of information that I never knew until my dad told me like this year. And I just had no idea for this, but most towns out there, they do provide salt and sand for you. You just have to go to the local department of whatever. I don't know for each town, but department of whatever. And they normally provide sand or salt, or at least where I live, they do. And that piece of information is something that that's just a fun fact. So if I'm calling the people in my town up before the snowstorm, I'll just be like, did you know that you can get make sure you got all of your sand or salt? I normally try to point them into direction to free resources. That way, every time I'm on the phone, I know I'm giving them some type of value. If it's a video or if it's like you're saying, oh, hey, I already called a few plow companies and now I'm reaching out. I just love that. Love the value.
Yeah, I honestly never knew that was a thing. And it's making me think of those two playing off of one another. A lot of people, when they're reaching out to their neighborhood, they might be a little stumped on what to say as they're calling around or as they're door knocking or whatever it might be. So I think being able to just use that simple type of script when you know that there's something winter weather related, call the town that you're the town hall of the neighborhood that you're calling on, find out if that's a possibility. And now you can just call around and say, hey, Catherine, I'm Sam, I live down the street. Just wanted to let you know about this. I know that we have the storm coming up. So in case you weren't aware, you're able to do X, Y, and Z. And obviously I'm mentioning, I'm Sam Alperin, Keller Williams Coastal Realty. And, you know, think about that this is someone that is in my neighborhood or is in a neighborhood I'm targeting. They don't know me versus any other people or any other realtors that are calling. And I'm calling saying that. I'm calling letting them know that at town hall, you can go pick up some sand or salt for free. Or even if it's not free, you can do something here and here's the resource for you. I'm not calling and saying, hey, do you want to sell your house today? Now that might come up once in a while, but for that standout conversation, you know, that's really going to make me or you or anyone here ahead above everybody else. Something else I wanted to say is whether it be your sphere or other people, not everyone is going to work with you. And be understanding of that, be accepting of it, and be happy for them when they're accomplishing their real estate goals, whether it's happening with you or not. And then just make sure that you're having the amount of conversations you need to reach your own goals. And I can tell you between years 2 and 3 in the business, and I had already done quite a bit of business leading up to that. I had 5 friends in a calendar year do real estate transactions without me. It added up to 6 transactions and $55,000 worth of commissions. And I can tell you, I'd feel a lot better with an extra 55 grand in the bank account right now. But I know that by, you know, doing right by them, first of all, out of the 5 people with the 6 transactions, 4 of them did not enjoy working with their realtor and complained to me through it. And I didn't let them just, you know, bend my ear and give them, you know, advice for free and everything for however long, but I let them air it out a little bit, gave some advice as needed without stepping on any toes, and also let them know, listen, you made your decision, you have to work with that person, you're not switching over to me, and you'll work with me in 5 years. And now that person's never getting the referrals, I'm getting the referrals. I'd rather have your referrals in your business anyway, because you're going to transact every 5 to 10 years, and you can give me 5 to 10 referrals a year. So be happy for the people and understand that as you're doing things like DTD2 or anything else, you know, any other sort of lead generation, lead follow-up, not everyone is going to work with you. Just know that heading into it and be accepting and okay with it. Because in the moment, it's going to sting a little bit and you need to basically, you know, rub some dirt on it and move on to the next one and be happy for that individual.
Great advice. All right, great. All right, so I just put the Go Giver. If you keep looking at the chat every once in a while, there's some great stuff happening in there. Thank you, Amy, talking about the book, The Go Giver. I just put a link to that book. All right, so let's get back to our slides here. All right. Okay. So in talking about our objectives, we got onto the metric driven. The next one is to make sure that they are attainable. Make sure that they are purposeful and make sure that they are timely. Okay, so that is a guide as you're setting those, your weekly goals and your daily objectives. Okay, make sure you know when that goal needs to be accomplished. So if you're setting a goal of reaching out to, say 5, 10 people per day, by making 5 contacts a day, 20 per week, right? Make sure that that goal is an attainable number. You're not going to say, you know what, I'm going to reach out to 200 people today. That probably is not going to be attainable. Make sure it's something that you can attain, and then do it in a purposeful way, just as what we're talking about. And then what's the timeline for you to complete it? Ben?
I just wanted to say one thing on that last comment you made. It is impossible, but it depends what technology you're leveraging, because if you're leveraging a 3 dial phone dialer system, you can go through 300 phone numbers within the same amount of time as going through 100 phone numbers. So I just wanted to bring that up off of that last little thing. Being the tech person here, I was like, oh, you can do it through a 3-line phone dialer system. But just wanted to put that in.
Absolutely. And then before we break, we're going to just talk for a few minutes about time blocking, which we've been talking about already, right? Time blocking it's going to be such a big tool in your tool belt. If it is not in your calendar, it does not exist. You should be living off of your calendar, working off of your calendar every single day. And you should then honor your calendar. So first you want to block the time, and then you don't want to just block the time and then never look at your calendar again and still just go about doing whatever happens to come up and reacting to your day. So you want to really sit down. And I think you can do it. I think there might be one either, I don't know if there's one in your book, but you can pull your calendar up on your phone right now if everybody has their phone. And you want to handle, we were talking about our big rocks, our smaller rocks, and our sand. Make sure your big rocks get on your calendar first. Those are the most important things. And also don't feel like you need to fill in every single minute of your calendar. Give yourself some time to be able to handle things that might arise. I mean, as we get to be busy real estate agents, your phone is going to ring and there's something you're going to have to attend to. Right? Just like you think about like, the doctor's office, right? They leave a couple of appointments open for emergencies if somebody isn't feeling well and they need to come in that day. So it's like same sort of thing. You want to leave some time in your calendar so you can handle things that may arise that you weren't expecting. Or sometimes, you just might need a little, leave a little downtime. If you listen to, to Gary Keller and a lot of the really super successful people in real estate who are sales, who are sales driven, sometimes as sales agents, sometimes we forget to put off time in our calendar, right? We just block our calendars with just tasks and work. And sometimes, we forget that, you should really kind of block out some time for you, because you always need to be able to have some time to rejuvenate and to refill your cup and to rest a little bit. One of our agents in our office, her coach told her this thing that was amazing, and something that I'm trying to put into my play, because I'm one of those people that I'll work 7 days a week. I absolutely love what I do between our real estate brokerage that we do through our team and through being a team leader. I love what I do. And to me, it is true that they say that if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. I sometimes take that to the extreme, meaning that I should work every single day of my life. And I often work 7 days a week, many, many times, and forget that sometimes I just need to plan a day off and have that time for myself. So plan that. And if you listen to Gary Keller, he says the first thing he does when he plans his year calendar going into a new year is he plans his vacation. That's the first thing he puts on his calendar of when is my vacation time? Because that's most important, that my family time, my vacation time, that's usually what our big why is. That's why we're doing this. So make sure you honor them and you put time for them and yourself in your calendar, and you block that first. And then he goes through and he blocks through all the things of professional development that he's going to do. So if he's going to family reunion, he puts family reunion on his calendar. If he's going to mega camp, he puts mega camp. If he's going to a training, right? Obviously things will arise throughout the year, but he puts those big things on. So that way those things are on his calendar. And then he goes about putting his big rocks on his calendar as far as his day-to-day things. I'm going to block 1 hour or 2 hours for lead gen, Monday through Friday. Put it in there. Make sure nothing, and you treat that like you're showing $1 million property to a buyer during that time. If somebody calls and says, hey, can you do this for me during that time? You know what? Actually, I already have an appointment at that time. However, I can meet you at 11:30 and I can show it to you at 11:30. Every once in a while, something may arise where they can't change it. Listen, it's the only time I'm available and it's something that you need to do. So then you do it, but you make it it's not the rule. It's not the rule. It's whatever that saying is. Amy, did you raised your hand?
Yeah, I've been sick for the last week, and then I have a team that takes a couple mornings, so I feel a little rusty with talking. But I would say the book links that I sent you, there's two of them. There's one that's the Go Giver Sells More, and then one that's Go Giver. I'm reading
okay.
both because I'm really struggling with that too. But the selling one directly applies it, I think, to like not being salesy and real estate.
That one.
The other thing is, you talk about calendars. When I started this, and I thought when I was going and studying for my test, I got really sucked into spending too much time making the calendar. And so that's something, if you could talk to, like how to organize that, because I feel like I was so excited. And I'm like, meditate for 5 minutes and then do this and then study market. And then I was like 30 minutes to the calendar.
Sure, absolutely. Sam, I know you raised your hand. And do you want to address that?
Yeah, I think that goes back to why having something like a 411 is important. Because when we look at our list of true priorities for that week, we only really need to time block those. And then other things we can fit in along the way as needed. But, looking at a 411, and a 411 is really a paper view of the 80-20 principle. What are the 20% of activities that I need to do to drive 80% of the results? That's your focus is on your 411. So when we're looking at time blocking, Rhonda mentioned that you don't want to just fill the calendar to have it filled and then mistake that for having a busy and successful day. You want to really be able to time block those core activities and protect them just as you would that $1 million buyer. So Rhonda brought up a doctor's office. Well, when you go to the doctor's office, if you just walked in and you didn't have an appointment, you're not necessarily getting in right then and there. You have the appointment. The doctor has an appointment. They protect that appointment. When we're doing something like lead generation, we need to protect that time block. When I have a seller calling me and it's 9:30 in the middle of my lead generation time, I take that call and I'm on the phone with them for, let's say, 15 minutes. And then it takes me another 5 to 10 minutes to be able to pick up the phone again back in lead generation. Now, all of a sudden it's 9:40 and I've only called maybe 3 people and I don't have the momentum that I would have if I've been calling all through those last 40 minutes. So protect that time for your lead generation, because quite frankly, it's actually going to help your seller if you're doing more lead gen, because you may find a buyer that could be a fit for their property. So you protect that time, and then at 11 or 12, whenever that time block is over, now you can call back the seller. If it's an emergency, you'll find out. But the likelihood that it's an actual true emergency is really low. So we need to treat ourselves with the same type of respect that a doctor's office, a dentist's office, any medical professional, quite frankly, we make just as much money as they do. We have a role that is very important, just like theirs. We're dealing with people's livelihoods. They're many of them their largest investment and where they're spending every single day. So we need to treat ourselves and our business with just as much respect. And it actually will lead to a better experience and results for our clients as well. So don't time block every 5, 10, 15 minutes. Time block the core things. Now, if you have core pieces of your business, you may also have a 411 for your personal life. And then you would time block those things as well. But you don't want a full calendar that every single minute from 9 to 5, you have something. Because now when something else comes up, you're like, where do I fit it in? And what do I take out? And typically, it's going to take away from one of your priorities, which it shouldn't, because you have all of these other things on there that you feel like you also need to do. Well, if I have 2 hours for lead gen and 15 minutes to create my email signature, if I do both of them, I did both of them now. I got to check off 2 things on my list. But in reality, that email signature didn't drive any real results, or not nearly proportionate to the other 15 minutes of lead gen of what it could have accomplished. So if I did my lead gen, if I've accomplished that time block and I've done command and I've been looking at the market conditions, well, now if I want to do my email signature, I've afforded myself that opportunity. But if I did have some emergencies that came up along the way, I can do that tomorrow, or I can do that tonight as I'm watching Netflix. I don't do that at the expense of those core activities. And I don't just throw things on the calendar just to have more on there. Another couple of things that I want to bring up from what Rhonda was mentioning. She brought up Gary Keller, how he books his vacations first. And what I've heard him say is that the reason he does that is because many people work and they take a vacation in between. He says that he works in between his vacations. Now, another thing that I've heard him say is that when other people look at him, he is a billionaire. He owns probably a $2 billion+ company. And if it was ever public, it would be a hell of a lot more than 2 billion, I can tell you that. But he owns this $2 billion business that he created. And people say, well, you know, you can do that. You can work in between your vacations. You can take however many days off a year because you're Gary Keller. And he said, no, I'm Gary Keller because I do that. He's where he is because of the intent that he's put into practice, not the other way around. He's not able to take 4 vacations a year because of where he's gotten here because of what he's put into place. And then the last thing that I want to mention is for me, what if I'm going back, I'm a early on agent again, or I'm just someone that's looking to scale my business. I mentioned those 3 core activities that I'd be focusing on. And if I've accomplished those 3 core activities, quite frankly, I don't need to do that email signature later today. It's not going to drive major results. So if I do want to go home early, I in a way have afforded myself that opportunity. What I had done instead, and what I would recommend for other people, is without burning yourself out, get ahead of your goals. Have more conversations with people. Again, not to the point that you burn yourself out. I'm not going to be on the phone for 40 hours every single week. It won't work for me personally. Maybe for Ben or for Mark, it does work. It doesn't work for me. But it does work for me to be on the phone for 15 to 20 hours a week, especially early on or as I'm scaling. So I did my lead gen in the morning. I worked on my database. I looked at the market a little bit. And now I have this time that I don't have an appointment today. And I get to choose, what do I want to do? Do I want to go home? If I want to, great. I've had a successful day. Do I want to get ahead of my goals? And that's more often than not what I chosen to do. Not necessarily saying I did another 5 hours of lead gen, but maybe another 30 to 60 minutes. And the something I heard recently from Jeff Woods, he's one of the head people for the One Thing company. The One Thing is a book that's written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. It's not real estate related at all. It's focus related. They speak a lot about 411s and about the 80-20 principle and just best practices to lead a purposeful life. And during the One Thing podcast, I believe it was on Monday, Jeff Woods brought this up, and I want to ask all of you guys. So anyone that's on camera right now that either they themselves like sports, or maybe they have kids that play sports, or they played sports when they were younger, do you prefer to play from behind or with a lead? So if you prefer your team of choice to be in the lead, let's raise your hand real quick. All right, of the people that didn't raise their hand, how many of you just don't like sports, so it doesn't pertain to you? Okay, so, for all of us, we'd prefer, and most people prefer to be having their team play with a lead. Just feels more comfortable. If you're having to constantly play from behind, in moments, it can be exciting, but it's also over the course of time going to be very anxiety driven and really mentally deteriorating, in my opinion, if that's always happening. So when you play with a lead, if we prefer that for sports, we should do the same thing for our goals. So if you're not ahead of your goals right now, why not? And it's probably because you didn't yet know how to be really intentional in the moment. And then once you do that and get ahead when you have the availability to. Because then if you want to take all of December off, great. You've already accomplished what you look to that year. Or you can fast track yourself for the future if you choose to. Ben.
I'm on mute. I just wanted to put in there that sometimes when we set our goals, they can be very overwhelming depending on who you are. Like when I set my goals, they're extremely overwhelming, where I sometimes set them very high most of the time. And sometimes that I get overwhelmed by how much I need to work on that goal. And sometimes it's really easy to get lost in that circle, downward spiral. And one thing that I really help to get me out of those spiral downwards is to go, okay, let me take a step backwards. let me look at this, what I'm trying to do, and break it down even smaller. So, so like the book someone mentioned earlier today was Atomic Habits. In that book, it talks about how you want to break, if you are having trouble getting yourself to a habit, break that habit down rather than going to the gym, making yourself go to the gym for an hour. Maybe it's, okay, I'm going to just do 10 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, and 10 sit-ups a day. That's it, right? So you can think about it a different way. And that's why I love learning and reading books, is because there's always a new perspective or a new strategy that you can implement in order to improve. There's no way ever, even if all I did every single day of my life was reading books, there's no way I'm even going to get 1% of the knowledge that the human race has created. So we have to choose what we feed ourselves or what information we're taking in order to succeed.
I have one last thing I want to mention in regards to that, in regards to our goals seeming insurmountable when we're setting them, or wanting to set a lower goal so it's more obtainable. And I'll probably be about 3 minutes here, and then we'll get to break. So first part, in regards to setting a goal, because it seems more obtainable, or because somebody else said it would be a good goal for someone that is in your experience level in the business. I know agents in their first year, or in general, in any number of years in the business, that do 0 transactions because that's the type of effort they were willing to put in. I know many agents that do 3 transactions because that's the work they were willing to put in. I know an agent that, I'll use myself first. I did 23 sales my first year because I was willing to do that work. However, in hindsight, I probably should have been closer to 40 if I was just a little bit more intentional, slightly more intentional every day, not major shifts. I would have been closer to 40. The reason why I was able to get to 23 is because my goal was 25. And I set that goal because I had 2 people give me insight as I was getting in the business. One was my family realtor from my hometown. And I had just moved to Rhode Island from New York, so I didn't have any real sphere here. My family realtor said if I could do 3 sales and make $15,000 my first year, I'd be a really good spot. Well, I ended up basically 10xing that my first year in the business because I didn't allow her to be a limiting belief. I instead looked at somebody else, which is my future cousin-in-law. His first year in the business was also in a new setting. He moved from Rhode Island to Charlotte, North Carolina, and he did 50 sales his first year. And he was probably, I believe he's about 13 years older than me. I was 24 when I first got started, so he was 36, 37. He had about 15 years of sales experience already, and even to the point that he was a CEO for a regional franchise in Rhode Island. So I looked at him like he's got all of this experience, and the family's so proud of him. He did 50 sales. If I could do half as much, I'd feel really good. And I came up just short, but I should have been even further than that. So I did 23. I know an agent that did 50 his first year. I know an agent, his name is Quintavious Burdett. He is in the Mississippi-Tennessee border area. He was 25 when he first started. He had no relationships in real estate. So he didn't have builders that were sending him a bunch of business or anything. He just worked his ass off, quite frankly. His first year in the business, he did over 100 sales. Now, to me, I look at him like he's an absolute psycho. I would never be willing to do that in my first year in the business. But if that's the type of effort you're willing to put in, that's realistic. He showed that it can happen. I was willing to give probably 40% of that effort, which is why I said I should have been at 40 sales rather than the 23. But still 23, I ended up better than 10xing what someone said I should be striving for, and what many other people maybe would have instilled as the goal for me. So figure out what you want to accomplish. And now this goal might sound insurmountable. It's a huge mountain. And when you look at a first-time home buyer and they see that the average price for the homes they're looking at or they'd be interested in is $300,000, and they have 20 grand in the bank, they're like, there's no way I can do that. It's not the right time for me. And you're able to have them connected with a mortgage lender that breaks it down and they learn that for them to get this $300,000 house, it's going to cost them, let's say 12 grand out of pocket, and it's going to cost them $1,700 a month. And their rent right now is $1,950. Well, now it seems like a really obtainable goal because we took this big insurmountable thing, $300,000 that they don't have, and you broke it down to what are you actually going to have to do on a monthly basis? And now it's very achievable for them. What I want for all of you, if you haven't already done this, is to figure out what you really want to achieve, what you would need to accomplish financially in order to be on track for that over these next couple of years, what you'd have to do these next 12 months to be on track. And if it seems insurmountable, that's okay. We're not worried about that yet. Then with your mentor, your coach, your leadership team, an ALC member, whoever it might be, on your own even, look at the economic model from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent and break down that goal to how many closings, how many clients, and how many appointments you would need on the year. That's going to give you an understanding monthly what type of effort you're actually going to have to put in, and weekly what type of effort you're going to actually have to put in. If I want to do 24 sales to a month, that might sound like a lot for a new agent. And let's say that makes you $100,000. And I learned that I really only need to schedule 1.5 appointments a week. Well, I'm working 40 hours a week. That's not all too difficult if I'm intentional. So take this big goal that you have, break it down, see if you're willing to do that work. If you're willing to do double the work, double the goal. If you're willing to do half the work, cut the goal in half. But I don't want you to be realistic on goals that someone else is setting the expectation for. Be realistic on the effort you're willing to put in, and then create the models and systems behind being able to make that a reality.
I just want to put in one more thing, and that's when I was at college, I got a minor in behavioral economics. And in behavioral economics, it always talks about how people face trade-offs. So we face many trade-offs in life. In order to have one experience, you're giving up every other experience that you could possibly have within that time period. So make sure that you know what trade-off that you're facing and you make it with purpose. So if you're going to make the trade-off and do this time block, make sure that you're willing to do that time block. Okay, I know that I'm going to give the trade-off where if I'm going to do, let's say, script practice for an hour, or because I'm the tech trainer, I'm going to work on my technology for an hour. I know, and I am purposefully going to be giving up going to the beach, hanging out with my family, going out with my friends, drinking. I'm giving up any little thing, going to the gym. I'm giving up watching TV during that time. I'm giving up playing video games during that time. I'm giving up every single thing you could possibly think of other than that activity. I'm giving up. That is the trade-off I'm facing in order to do that activity, because I've identified by doing that activity, I get to the result that I'm going for. If I'm getting to the result and I face these trade-offs, I'm willing to face all these trade-offs in order to get to where I'm trying to get.
And with that, really look at what matters most to you, because it's not all going to be money. I know for me, these last 2 years, I see that Mark put in the chat that he's gone on a week-long cruise every year after he flips a house. And it's kept him motivated to work on the next one. I used to go on vacation for a week to 2 weeks every year in the Caribbean for at least the last 7 years or so, and for much of my life. And I haven't even taken the vacation days. I know, with COVID, I haven't necessarily been able to go down to the Caribbean. I haven't even taken the vacation days the last 2 years. I haven't been playing basketball, which I absolutely love. I haven't been taking care of my mind and body the way that I should. I've made pretty damn good money, but the money is not a trade-off for me. So this year, heading into 2022, a big thing that I'm being proactive with is looking at my time and making sure that I am focusing on those other things outside of business that are the most important to me. So making sure I'm having time for my hobbies, for my health, for my partner, for some time off just for myself. Because quite frankly, if I do those things, I'm actually going to make more money, in my opinion. I'm very confident on that. I'll work less hours and I'll be so much better in the hours that I am working. So I absolutely agree with Ben's point that you need to understand what trade-offs you're willing to make, but don't trade everything for money. Make sure that you are really being aware of what you're looking to accomplish and why you're doing this in the first place.
Can I just mention one thing off of that? Because I think that touches upon something that you often get separated from within business. And that's normally I am stuck setting only goals with dollar values. So I'm like, okay, I want to make X amount of money, but why do I want to make X amount of money? It goes into, okay, hey, the reason why I wanted to make that money is because I wanted to live in a property with a lot of land, right? Or, oh, I wanted to have the experience of when I go out with my friends, we don't have to, I can cover the bill. So those were the experiences that I wanted. And then by identifying or breaking down why I wanted the money, I was able to identify, okay, I can still reach my goal. My goal is still to make that much money, but why wait to do the other experiences that I want in my life? Because why we're doing this is at the core of everything. Is, are we doing this to get $100,000 or to make $1 million? No, normally no one cares about the dollar value in the bank, but it's what you can do with that money. It's, okay, I can go on vacations with my family. I can spend more time with my family. It's financial freedom. I don't have to worry if my kid wants a ice cream cone. It's those things. It's the family part. It's the life that you're living. It's a life by design. It's knowing that, okay, hey, I created my life. I created the steps that I made and I was able to execute on it. And that sense of accomplishment, I feel, is a lot more valuable than any amount of money that I could make. Is the inner sense of reaching that goal that I set for myself.
Awesome. Perfect. So yeah, that is great. I think sometimes one of the hardest things to soul search about is, what is your big why? And when you can identify what your big why is and what motivates you and what drives you, that will just keep you motivated to getting your goals done. Okay, any other comments? And we'll take a little break. It's almost it's about 11:15. So if we take a 15-minute break, maybe to 11:05, and then we only have an hour left, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about accountability. We're going to talk about scripts a little bit, and then make sure that we answer any other questions that you have relating to this content or anything else. We're here to help you with any challenges, any obstacles that you're feeling. So anybody have any last words before break?
I have one last word. So we have 30 people on right now. I'd love to see 30 people when we get back. I know accountability is not always fun and shiny, but the accountability is that habit part that we spoke about at the very beginning of being able to stay consistent and hold yourself to the habits and activities you need to do to hit these goals.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll see y'all back here in 15 minutes. See you then.
I jumped back on a few minutes early if anyone has any tech questions about command while we wait. Awesome. Just let me know.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just waiting on Sam, and then we're going to jump right back in. Let me get my iPad here. Boy, that time went quickly, didn't it? All right. All righty, ready? Let's go here. Okay. You guys all ready to get back started again? Maybe we'll give everybody just one more minute. Everybody's kind of filtering back in. That's funny, Mark. I know I have my teacup, like it's glued to me from the minute I walk in the door. Yep, all day. All right, let's get started. We only have, we have about 50 minutes left of our time together. We're just going to spend the rest of our time talking about accountability, and then also talking about some scripts, and then anything else that we can help you with in your business. So I'm going to just go ahead and reshare my screen. That is not where I'm supposed to be. That is where I'm supposed to be. Okay. Show. Great. So now we're just going to talk about creating accountability. Let me move you guys out of the way here so I can see. So being accountable, right here it says accountability is an attitude and an approach. I think, personally, I think, for all of us, we have different ways that we like to be held accountable. There's some people who want to be held accountable very, I don't want to use the word fiercely, but they like a stronger sense of accountability. Other people tend to kind of shy away from that, and they kind of come from, they want it to be, they want to be held accountable, but yet they always want it to be, a little bit on the softer side. I think for all of us, having an accountability partner and having somebody in our world who can be, very truthful with us and who can talk with us when we're just not getting things done, and somebody that you feel comfortable being truthful back as to if you're not getting your activities done, why you're not. Right? Sometimes it's just not that, it's not the what, it's the why, right? We always go back to what is your big why? Same thing in accountability. If you're not getting things done that you're supposed to be, then why is it? Is it a mindset issue? Is it a skills issue, right? There could be a couple of different reasons why you're not getting things done. It could be that you haven't really honed in on the skill that you need. Right. And so then we'll get you the tool that can fix that, right? You need to take a class, or you learn more about that. You practice, right? Or is it a mindset issue? Right. And then we can fix that too. We can talk through it and find out what is holding you back from moving forward to getting that activity done. So find somebody. Everybody should have an accountability partner. They should have a coach in their life, whether it's a business coach, a life coach. It's a peer coach, somebody that you're holding each other accountable for. But have those people in your world, because that's what keeps us on track, and that is what keeps us moving forward. We all need it. It's a tool that for changing, achieving results, and it's a dynamic cycle. It's not a static concept. You don't always need the same thing on the same day in the same way, right? Every day is going to be a little bit different. Sam and Ben, do you guys have anything to add to that? Sam's great at accountability.
In
Yes.
the one,
Sam, you go first.
thank you. In the one thing, Gary Keller mentions a study by Dr. Gail Matthews, and Gail Matthews found that people that write down their goals consistently are just about 40% more likely to accomplish them. And then people that not only wrote down their goals, but also had some sort of shared progress report with a friend were just over 76%. 3/4 more likely to accomplish those goals. So, having a goal is one thing. Keeping it top of mind for yourself by writing it down and doing that consistently. Some people do that as frequently as every day, or I know people that even do it in like each of their time blocks, morning, afternoon, and night. So whatever works for you, but keeping it top of mind for yourself, keeping the goal top of mind, just like we like to stay top of mind for our prospects that we're speaking to. And then having someone, to Rhonda's point, of being able to hold each other to, and even more than that, just having someone to talk through it when it's a little challenging, and to be able to lift each other up, and be able to give each other inspiration by seeing one another cross goals off of their list. That's something that can be really powerful, and not just theoretically. An actual study has been done to show that you'd be 3 times more likely to accomplish that goal.
Ben, did you have something you wanted to add?
I did. So the thing I just wanted to add is a different perspective. And that's on when your goals are massive. I'm just going to talk from my personal experience. My goal is to make $92 million a year residually. It's such a massive goal. Normally when I talk to people, it's hard to get an accountability partner. So at a certain time in my life, I couldn't find anyone where I could be accountable to. So what I did was I turned to biography. So I identified the people who have already been successful. Then I identified, okay, hey, if I read Thomas Edison's biography or Steve Jobs' biography, how did they stay accountable? What was their experience? What can I learn from their experience that I can apply to my own life? So if you're thinking that, okay, hey, I can't identify someone to be an accountability partner, well, you can always look to other resources to match up your accountability to. It doesn't replace anything about getting an accountability partner. It's just another perspective, because when you set goals, right, and then you do the key activities that you know of. So if you set the goal right now, okay, I want to make $100,000, you're going to do the key activities that you believe at this point in time is going to get you to your results. Then what you're going to do is measure those results. So what metrics are you utilizing within your KW command system in order to identify if you did do the key activities? Then evaluate the process. Okay, what were the key activities I did? Okay, these were the results I got. Okay, could I have done something differently? Is that Thomas Edison, when he went and created the gasoline engine, he did it this way. Okay, hey, I can reevaluate my own process, then make adjustments. Okay, based off of these new models and systems, so going back to the basics, models and systems, okay, how do I make these little bit of adjustments in my life or within my key activities? And then I reset my goal, because now I'm that much further to my goal than I was before.
Perfect. That's a great analogy. I love that, Ben. I love that. And one thing I just want to add to that, and like, here's the thing, right, is that I love that Ben is setting like this great, huge goal. And the great thing about it is you're now looking to Thomas Edison and you're looking to Steve Jobs, right? They all started one day coming up with that goal too, right? As you all start on your real estate career, or for those of that have been in real estate, always have to remember that, you know, the agents that you know of, or the agents that you learn about within your company, within your market center, that are on stage with Gary Keller, and they are just selling an amount of they're bringing an amount of real estate sales into the world that might be a little bit like, holy cow, how did they do that? You always have to remember that that person started right here. That one time they were sitting in an Ignite session, just like you, and had just gotten their license, and were trying to figure out how they're going to navigate their real estate career. When I sit down and I talk with people who are thinking about getting their real estate license, who haven't even enrolled in the classes yet, I love to remind them that the agents, the rockstar agents out there in all of our marketplaces, at one time they sat across from somebody and wanted information on how to get their real estate license. And so the path has already been laid for us. That's already been done. And we simply just need to follow the tools. And then we had talked in the chat a little bit about the link for the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. That book that was created by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. That book is, as one of our agents, Ken Monroe, always says, that book has all the answers to the test in it. Like, that book has all of the map, all the systems, all the tools have been laid out for you right in that book. All you have to do is take that book and implement it and follow the guidelines. It's already been laid out for you. You just have to do it, and you are going to achieve whatever goals you set for yourself. Now, we're not saying that you have to set a goal of you want to have $92 million. You don't have to have that goal. Your goal might be that you just want to bring $100,000 into your world on a yearly basis, 200,000, 50,000. It doesn't matter. We want you to achieve the goal. Your goals are personal to you and your family. Your big why is personal to you. We want you to achieve the goals that you set in front of you. And we want to give you the way for you to get there, the path for you to get there. So that way you can build your life by design, whatever that design may be. So I love that, Ben. And if you can't have anybody immediately in your world who might have that same goal, so you're having it difficult to find the accountability partner, go out and figure out who did it, and then read all about them and get into them and find the things that they did in order to achieve it. I love that. That's awesome. All right. So how many of you on here already have an accountability partner in place? Ben, awesome. Kirsten, awesome. I can only see a couple of you here. I'm going to come off screen so I can see everybody. Amanda, great. Mark, do you have one? Do you have one? Amy? No? Okay. Ryan, do you have an accountability partner? So here's one of the things that's like this that we said. Oh, Jacqueline, you raised your hand. Does that mean you have one? Yes?
Yes, I do.
Great. Awesome. Awesome. So there's many ways that you can find an accountability partner. Like we said, you can connect with somebody here in Ignite that you're seeing on a daily basis and getting to know a little bit, and find an accountability partner. You all belong to the Facebook group. I hope, yes, everybody's in the Ignite Facebook group by now. Awesome. Go in there and put a message in there, right? And say, hey, I'm looking for an accountability partner. And you're going to get a response for sure. Here in this Ignite session down in the chat, if you are looking for an accountability partner, put your name and your contact information in there. And anybody else who's looking for an accountability partner, take note of that and, absolutely connect up. It's really good. It's really good to have one. And, and you may find that your styles are different and you may be accounting partners for a little bit. Like we were talking about having to, diversifying in your accountability partners. You can have more than one, you can have 2, 3, right? Sometimes it's just good to start to build those relationships, agent to agent relationships, because as you're starting out your careers together, it's just great to have somebody just to kind of bounce things off of. When I was with Coldwell Banker years ago, and I had gone to a Tom Ferry coaching seminar, and I met this guy, Josh Brown, who's a Keller Williams agent out of Connecticut. And Josh and I met We just kind of hit it off at the conference, and we would talk with each other maybe like once a month. And we were kind of both in similar places in our businesses of contemplating starting a team, contemplating getting a business getting a business coach. And so we just connected, we exchanged business cards, and we would just talk every so often about what we were doing, how we were doing it, tips and tricks for each other. And, you know, we weren't necessarily accountability partners because we talked maybe once a month or every couple months. Yet Josh was, he became a really good friend of mine. And actually was the reason I ended up joining Keller Williams, because he kept telling me to come and talk to Keller Williams about partnering my business with them. And I finally did listen. But he just was a great friend and a great colleague for me. And so, you know, this is a relationship business, not only relationships with your clients, but relationships among each other as well. Okay, great. Anything, see what we're on tap for next. Anybody have any other comments on that? Okay. Move forward to, so now we're on to ahas and any ahas. So I would love to hear some ahas from the day today. What did you think?
Sorry, we had a question in the chat.
Oh, great.
What is reasonable and maximum goal for a real estate agent in first year? I know few had 100 transactions even, but if somebody can tell what should it be super aggressive possible goal in first year, that will help me be realistic rather than setting up impractical goal.
I don't think there's any perfect answer for that, because, you know, again, looking back at the effort that you're willing to put in and the goals that you have, my goals as a first year agent versus someone else's may look very different. And the effort that we're willing to put in might be a lot different. So it's tough to say. I can tell you, I believe the stat is that 87% of real estate agents are out of the business within 24 months. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that to scare you. I say that to show how easy it is to get in the business and how many people are not intentional about it. And because of that, the average for real estate agents, I know in Rhode Island a couple of years ago, there's about 5,000-6,000 real estate agents, and the average was, I believe, 4 transactions per agent. And the median was closer to like 2 or 3, meaning that a lot of agents didn't do any business. So if that's the average of all agents in general, you can imagine what the average would be for first year agents. But if 87% of them are gone in 2 years because they didn't put in any effort, then it's tough for me to say that your goal should be X because the average for a first year agent is a certain amount. I would say I think it is incredibly realistic to make at least $100,000 your first year. I told you, you know, roughly what I had been at. I was about 150,000 GCI, and I should have been closer to 250,000. And I was 24, and I'm not kidding you guys. I tell this to a lot of people. I did not know what a septic tank was when I first got started. Now, I obviously had to learn about the concept of one during my pre-licensing course, but I still didn't really get it. And the reason for that is because I'm from New York, just outside New York City, and everybody's on sewer. I thought farms had sewers. I had no idea. So there was so much that I had to learn, and I was able to accomplish that with a big uphill battle. I was absolutely willing to grind and do things that other people weren't willing to do. But I think 0 to 100 is certainly realistic. I think 100 is more of an outlier. It's definitely possible. You have to be, in my mind, a bit of a psycho that first year, or have some real big financial needs or goals to do that. But that is possible. People have done it. You can listen to Quintavious Burdett speak about it on many different podcasts that are out there. But at minimum, $100,000 is well within reason of actual profit in your first year of the business.
I just want to follow up on that and just say that it really depends on you. If you think that you can make $1 million your first year in real estate and you're willing to put in the work, each and every person on this earth only has 24 hours in a day. We all have the same amount of minutes in an hour. So we all are facing trade-offs. It depends what you're doing with your time. If your goal is to make $1 million a year, we can't sit here and tell you, oh, that's unrealistic. If you're willing to work, let's say 100+ hours a week on that goal. Like, how can I sit here and honestly tell someone, hey, you can't achieve that goal that you set for yourself to make $1 million if you're willing to put in that work? Maybe it's for you, you have to think about yourself and your past experiences of, oh, is this unrealistic for me? Because if I'm setting a goal, it's totally different from someone else setting a goal, because I'm basing it off of all my past experiences. I've accomplished every dream I set out for myself. So based off of my track record, if I set an unrealistic goal, or in your perception, unrealistic, that, oh, he can't make it, right? But it's dependent on you, and it's dependent on how much effort you're putting in, and if you're putting in correct effort versus applying the systems and models, going back to the basics. I always go back to the basics, because apply what other people have already proven. Don't, like, if you're looking at it, look to someone else who already did it within that short period of time, and then base it off of that. Hey, how much work ethic, what did that person that sold 100 homes, what was his time like? What was he spending his time doing? What was the actions that brought him to the results? How can I achieve those actions within a shorter period of time so then I can make more money? It's all about your own perception to your own story you tell yourself. If I tell myself that Tony Robbins teaches, Tony Robbins has a really good video out on YouTube. If you look up Tony Robbins beliefs, he talks about how if you make 4 squares on a piece of paper, right, your belief goes into your potential, and then your potential goes into your actions, and your actions goes into your results. If you're down here under belief and you don't believe, right, in it, we can both agree that you have the potential, right? But the amount of actions that you took is totally based on if you believe you can do it or not. So then you look at your results, right? And then it goes back to the belief. So if you told yourself, oh shit, I'm off, back when I was awful at math and failed statistics in high school. Great, I failed statistics. So now what I didn't think I was going to accomplish statistics. So I didn't apply myself. I switched my perception, and it was like, I am the person who's going to succeed at learning statistics. So then, because I thought I believed in myself, I got a tutor and I went to a tutor. But before I believed in myself, the potential was there. We could both see the potential, but I wasn't going to take the correct actions to get there. I'll share it in the chat because he does a much better job of explaining this than me.
Jacqueline has her hand up. She also mentioned that being a real estate agent, a lot of people think it's easy. It's a lot of hard work, and that you get what you give into the business. Jacqueline, what is your question?
All right, sorry, I need to. No, that was my comment. Just to, like what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So the more you put in to like lead generation and all of that stuff it's gonna come back, and then you'll see your results from that, and if you're not, then you need to ask your mentor what you're doing wrong, and maybe they can guide you through that 80-20 rule where you are maybe like doing too much of this and not enough of that, and vice versa, so you can help have somebody help you figure out what it is that you need to change about your approach there. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I just want to make a comment about that.
Love that.
And-
Yeah, there's a lot of good things going on in the chat right now. Make sure you're checking it out, some groups and stuff.
And Ben was mentioning about these models, and that's all what Ignite is about. If you just implement what is being put in front of you, I think Amy was mentioning she really wishes there were statistics out there about agents that make the effort. I would look at, unfortunately, I don't have a statistic. However, agents that are consistently showing up to things like Ignite and then going that step further and not just being here, actively engaging while you are here, and then actively putting the actions into place that you are being taught. Those agents, I can say pretty confidently, I don't know if I've met an agent that has done that and been the 87% that is out in 2 years. Everyone that I've seen put in effort and actually put in effort for an extended period of time has been successful in real estate. And there's been a varying level of success for sure. That depends on how intentional they are and what their goals are, and overcoming maybe any limiting beliefs that come as their career progresses, because the challenges you face today are going to be much different than you face 2 years from now. But still, I haven't met an agent, and Ben, Rhonda, let me know if you feel differently, an agent that was really given real estate their all and not continued in the business unless they chose some other route for their life.
Absolutely.
It hasn't been that the real estate industry wasn't for them and that they weren't able to be successful. It is that there was something else in life that they were looking to do, and for whatever reason, real estate wasn't going to be the right vehicle for them.
I wanted to just add one more thing to what Sam just said, and that's, it's not about taking the class. It's not about reading the one thing. It's not about listening to the millionaire real estate agent. It's not about doing script practice every day. What it's really about is taking the time to take the actions that other people have taken to get to the results. Don't reinvent the wheel. And the final point is, your journey, it's a journey, right? So it's not about, hey, checking things off my list. Oh, I did Ignite. Okay, awesome, check. Oh, I read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, check. Oh, I did the one thing, check. And then they go, and then I have agents who go down this list, they check off, and then they look at me and they go, why don't I have any business? And I go, did you read those books? Did you go to those courses with the intention to apply every single thing that those books, courses, or whatever it is were about? Oh no, I just read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent once. Great. Did you apply every single thing in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent to your business? If the answer is no, go back and reread the book. Go back, take Ignite again. Go back, read the one thing again. Go back to the basics. Go back to the knowledge that other people have done. That's at least my point of view. I've read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I listen to The Millionaire Real Estate Agent monthly, at least once a month. I put it on 2 times speed and I listen through it because, hey, I know I've read the book over 20 times. I cannot sit here and tell any of you that I've applied the Millionaire Real Estate Agent model. No, I cannot say that. The only people that can say that are the people who are millionaire real estate agents. Those are the only people that can be and say, oh, I've applied everything in that book. Or at least that's my mindset, where, oh, I'm not making $1 million. How can I say that I've took all of the knowledge from this course or from this book? It's just, it's ever ongoing process of self-education. People go to high school, right? They are told, go to high school. They go through high school. Then they're sometimes told, okay, go to college. Great. They go to college. Then after they get out, at any point, the world is just open. There's no direction in life other than the direction you make for yourself. It's a life by design. Otherwise, you'll just do what the path someone else laid out for you is. All right.
I would also, beyond the books and podcasts, find somebody, whether they be in your local market center, somewhere in the region, or even nationally. Find someone that is putting these things into place, these different activities, someone that you can really start modeling after. You have the book, but being able to have an actual example of a person that you can just start doing what they do. And you don't have to do it 100% the way they do it, but look at the core things they are doing. When I started, there's MAPS coaching, which is a high level coaching for agents within Keller Williams. And the rainmaker for the team that I had joined when I first started, his MAPS coach told me that out of his 50 plus clients that he works with, this rainmaker was the best person at lead generation he's really ever met. And I just started doing what that guy did. I'd go into the office, I'd watch him do it. I'd start saying things that he was saying. I'd learn some things on my own. I'd put it into practice. All of a sudden he started saying the things that I was saying as well. But I just followed his footsteps from a business perspective. If I was able to do what he was doing, then I'm going to have some level of success. If he's someone that has a team doing $1 million of GCI every year, and he's probably profiting between $400,000 and $500,000. If I just do what he does consistently, I'm going to be so much better than if I just try to go at it completely alone. And that doesn't mean you have to join a team, but find somebody that you're modeling after that has taken the models that we're teaching to, that the Millionaire Real Estate Agent teaches to, and is actually implementing these things that you can really use as a figurative big brother or a big sister, even if you don't necessarily know them, even if you just watch what they do and you listen to what they do. And also recognize, I believe Rhonda had brought it up earlier, that these people are not machines. They started started in the same position that each of us started with, that they didn't have any business. They didn't have any clients. They had to pick up the phone that first time. They had to go on their first showing, their first open house. They had people decide to work with someone else after a listing appointment. And it's still all happening to them too. So they're not machines. They've just been doing it and practicing it for a longer period of time than you, and more frequently than you've had the opportunity to, just because they've been in the business longer. And you will ultimately be able to get there.
Absolutely. Love that. Thank you, Sam and Ben. Awesome. Like mic drop.
Well, we've still got 22 minutes here. So Rhonda, is there anything else in regards to content that we need to go over, or are we on to the AHA section?
So we're in the AHA section right now, and then we can slide in and do some stuff around some scripts, maybe do some script practice to wrap up today.
So what AHAs do you guys have? I'd love to hear some actually coming through your voices. And then anyone that maybe is unavailable to speak, if you could throw them into the chat. Some big things. It can be multiple. It could be one thing. You may not even believe it to be large, but just something that you learned today that you'll be better for. Something that you can take away from these last 2 hours and 40 minutes.
So I know we do it every day, but the lead generating, as small as it might be, it's probably the biggest thing we'll do. So kind of going over that every day is definitely important to know. That's kind of what your business starts on. That's what you should do to start the day, or to make sure you just do it every day to make sure it's, something that you're doing. So I would say lead generating obviously is the biggest one that I take from every Ignite class, because everyone talks about it, how important it is.
Awesome.
Going off of lead gen, I just wanted to mention that sometimes we tend to group the word lead generation to mean a ton of different activities. And sometimes it helps to try to think about each different lead generation funnel as a standalone funnel. Meaning, I know, hey, if I utilize a strategy where I'm calling for sale by owners, that's one way I'm generating leads. Then I may be running Facebook ads through my command system in order to generate me another set of leads. When I do it through command, it's automatically started on a smart plan. So it's automatically being reached out for text messages and emails. And I mean, individuals are being contacted. Sorry, I used the word it. I'm the tech guy. Sorry about that. Just took human interaction out of stuff. Sorry. But but it's about those little things. But I lost my train of thought, but
What other ahas do we have? And I'm not afraid to call on people.
Mr. Gupta, what was your aha in today's session? Oh, never mind. I think he's busy right now.
One
I'm
more.
fine,
Let's
Ben.
do one more.
Sorry about that. I was on mute and I was speaking. So yeah, so great session, and I love that. I also attended like one sales training, and that they explained the BAT triangle, which is behavior, attitude, and technique. So I was just trying to fit this model into that BAT triangle, and all makes sense. What you guys are talking is like behavior has to be perfect, attitude has to be 100% positive, and technique has to be right. So that's what I got from this. Keep on getting these messages along. So thank you very much. I think it's a really, really good session, and I really found that BAT triangle, how to fit it. I was struggling with like how to fit this real estate into that BAT triangle, and I can fit it now. Thank you very much.
I just want to bring up one thing. I heard you use the word perfect, and I don't think anything we do has to be perfect. Our attitude doesn't have to be perfect. Our scripts, our value proposition, no matter what it is, nothing has to be perfect, because quite frankly, it never will be. It's always going to be developing. And that's something that Ben was alluding to, that you're always going to be in this, this growth and learning throughout your career and your journey. So never have an expectation that what someone else is doing is perfect, or what you should or could be doing could be perfect, because it's just not possible. And you'd be setting yourself up for disappointment, in my opinion, if you use that word perfect. So I would say just always having the mindset that you can do better, you will do better, and you have done better than what you have done in the past, rather than looking at achieving perfect.
That's right, Sam. Yeah, that's perfectly said.
Let me give you guys an example of that. If you look up right now or wherever you are and you look at a light bulb, right? Thomas Edison created the light bulb, but he had thousands of different experiments that he did that failed. Now, if he gave up at any point, we wouldn't be sitting here on Zoom even, because they wouldn't have came up with the light bulb. So I just want to bring that one up, where sometimes when we think about this, we're like, oh, I have to be perfect. But no, all you have to do is be willing to fail. Just be willing to fail as many times as it takes for you to get to success. Be willing to fail, and then be willing to get back up after you fail. Someone in the chat put in one of my favorite videos of all time. I also don't remember who was the author, but the person in the chat mentioned it's story told where someone asked how to be successful, told him to meet him at the beach at 4 a.m. Guy said he wanted to be successful, not learn how to swim, told him to walk out into the water, held him underwater. When he came up, he said, when you want to be successful as bad as you wanted to breathe, then you'll be successful. I just really like that video that you mentioned there, just because it's that exact fact. It's the willingness to fail all those times. You're going to do script practice, and probably for the first 10,000 hours, you're going to suck at it. The reason I use 10,000 hours is because, right, Michael Jordan says it takes 10,000 hours to master anything. Okay, awesome. Think about it that way. Am I anywhere close to hitting 10,000 hours on script practice? No. Okay, I'm nowhere close to being perfect. Does that matter? No, I'm going to always be preparing myself to get to that perfection. Or at least that's what I'm doing, because I love the grind. But just wanted to say that.
Love it. Love the passion.
Amy.
Yeah, no, well, first, like, I really like, Sam, what you said about protecting your schedule. I think I can really take that and put that into what I'm doing. But then I was just curious. I've been watching, so like I said, I had a cold, so I've been watching a lot of the ones from November too, and I had one live session, but I haven't heard a lot about video messaging and or video calls as a way to contact. But when I was like overdriving myself with like Tom Ferry before I started to have these conversations through Keller Williams, which has been super helpful, I haven't heard a lot about that except for Bomb, like mentioned quickly. Like, is that something that agents who have been doing this for a while that you use and it's successful and more engaging, or no?
Videos are key. Everyone loves videos, especially now in the 20th, whatever century we're in now. But videos are key because a picture may tell what is it? A picture can tell 1,000 words, right? A video is many pictures over top of each other in a sequence. So how many words is being told within a video?
You should, and video is wonderful. I use video a lot in my lead generation tools, and I'll just sit here. I will literally sit here on my computer or on my phone, and I'll just record. I'll have the list of who I am reaching out to, and I will just sit here and record like 12-minute videos in a row. They all say the same thing. You know, they say, "Hey, Amy, it's Rhonda Messenborg. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. I was thinking of you today, and I didn't want the day to go by without reaching out and just saying hello. I hope all is well with you and your family. I would love the opportunity to reconnect with you and catch up and hear what's going on in your world. Simply reply back to this message and we can get something on the calendar. Hope to see you soon." A smiling face, right? And sometimes if you're calling people and you can't get them to respond to you, but then you send the video to them, they'll respond right away and be like, "Oh my God, that was so nice of you. That was so sweet." And then you're going to capture them, right? You can use video in a variety of different ways just to catch up with people. You can use it if you do set an appointment for somebody. You can just send a video. You know, "Hey Ben, it's Rhonda. I'm excited for our meeting today. I was just reminding you, I'm going to see you at noon today at XYZ. Look forward to seeing you there. If you need anything in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out." It really shows that personal touch. Doing Facebook Lives on your Facebook page, if you have a business page, just talking about the market. You know, "Hey everyone, it's Amy with Keller Williams Realty. I'm just jumping on really quick this morning. Just want to let you know that I got a message from my favorite lender this morning that interest rates just rose by 1/8%. I just wanted to get that out there. However, it's still a great time to consider buying. Would love the opportunity to talk with you if you're thinking of buying or selling or investing in real estate right now." It's something just so, and it doesn't have to be, and again, like we keep saying, it doesn't have to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. The more you do it, the more comfortable. Like the first time you're doing video, you'll probably record it 30 times before you'll send it. Now I basically just record it and it goes out. And you know what, if at some point in there I forgot what I was saying, you kind of look to the side and then and then I just kind of laugh it off and just keep going. And it's okay if it's not exactly perfect because they don't know. They're just like so excited that you took the time to send them a video. So get very, very comfortable with video. And there's a lot of applications you can use. You can use it you can do it in BombBomb. You can just do it on your phone. You can do it in a variety of ways.
Talking about a variety of ways, right now in the chat, I just shared 2 third-party softwares that I utilize myself in order to create videos. The first is called loom.com.
Oh yeah, Loom is great.
I utilize Loom is because I can take it's basically capturing my screen. So what you can do as an agent, if you go to your website, right, and you're looking for houses or something, create a Loom video of going through the CMA search and then send that to a customer. If you do one on each geographical area, now you have one for each of those areas. You put a smart plan together that is based for that geographical area with the videos associated with that area. Then you can set people up on an automated either 8x8 campaign or monthly campaign where you're sending the videos. Another one that I utilize is renderforce.com. The reason why I really like renderforce.com is they don't pester you with all those subscriptions. You can do a subscription, but they have a good plan where you can just create a video and then purchase it. Those are really good for if you take raw video feed with your phone or with a camera or using the loom.com, and now you want to spice it up and make it a little bit more inviting by adding text to the video or your logo at the front, or you're at the end of the video adding your exit screen, etc. Yeah. But those are the two resources I utilize for that. And then one of the big things, just another point of view that you might think that we haven't talked about, and that's you can utilize videos for recruiting people. You can use videos for getting buyers. You can use videos for getting sellers. Imagine it this way. You set up 3 smart plans with all of your videos, and now for the next 5 years, if anyone asks you about any of those, you can be like, oh, awesome, let me send you my list of videos. They get all that content. The perception is that they did it all for you, custom there. But in reality, they did it once and now shared it with 10 people or 20 people, 30 people. For example, as a market-centered tech trainer, it's literally would be impossible for me to cover everything that your command system can do. I could teach over 2,000 unique sessions on different features of your command system, but that's unrealistic. So what you want to do is identify in what you need. I'm going to stop there. If anyone has questions, I can redirect, talk about that.
Anyone have any further questions on that?
Any last ahas from today?
I can jump in with an aha.
Great.
For me, it was really helpful to see the timeline of how you segregate your day, but it was really helpful for you to actually go a step further and to say, well, if you're a new agent, this is what your day would look like. Because so often when you're just starting off, you're overwhelmed by so many responsibilities that you have to take. So to tackle it down to, this is what I would do: lead generate, and add them into command, set up a task, put them into your cultivate phase, and then spend the afternoon looking at hot sheets and the market and learning the MLS trends and stuff. So for me, I think that was a really helpful thing to have you give us, because it's kind of hard once we come out of this training phase. What does a day for a new agent look like? And I think that was helpful.
Yeah, there's so many different things that you can do. And that's why just focusing on those core activities is really important, because allow a lot of the rest of it to be noise until it's a little bit more necessary, or until you do have more time. So you don't have to attack everything at once. Ben mentioned that there's 2,000 different things he could teach to with command. And let's use that as an example. You only need it to do like 3 or 4 things. You need to store your contacts. You need to have notes on the conversations, a smart plan to reach out to them in the future. And then I'd recommend that 4th one of having them an opportunity so you can manage your pipeline for the year. But you don't need the rest of it. You can use the rest of it, but to start, you just have to focus on the 3 and then maybe 4th. You don't need everything else, not yet. You
Sam,
may
I love
never
that.
need it.
I absolutely love that, because that's one of the biggest things with your command system that people get overwhelmed with, is they're like, oh my God, it's so much to learn. Focus on the basics. Focus on the stepping stones. Your software was built in order to help you reach every level of achievement for you. So when you're new, focus on what you need with that system when you're new. Then when you're more experienced, learn what you can leverage when you're more experienced, but take it in small steps. It's over the course of your real estate career. I don't know about you. I didn't get into this business after the first year to get out of it. I didn't get into this after the second year to get out of it. I got in order to make sure that when I look at a graph of how much I make, it goes up. That's most of you too. I get
it's whatever you want it. It's whatever you want it to be. If you want to continuously scale your income, you have the opportunity to do that in real estate in a way that probably 99.9% of other industries, you don't have that opportunity. If you want your income to just stay very consistent, and let's say, for example, make $100,000 a year or 200 or whatever that number is, you grow to that point, and then you can just service what you have. You don't need to add more to it. So it's all a matter of what you're looking to build. But we have a lot of new agents that will say, well, my website isn't up and running yet through Command. I haven't done my marketing profile, and I don't have my referrals through the referral section. I haven't requested people yet. So I'm going to do that first, and then I'll call people. And then it's just that next week, it's the next excuse of what I'm going to do first before I call people. And I'll ask that agent, oh, great. How many of these appointments that you need to book on the year do you plan on having come from your website? Well, 0. Well, then why is the website on your radar right now? We can do that later, but it's not one of the priorities. If the website is one of the major ways that they're going to build their business, yeah, then we can prioritize that earlier. But for the majority of us, it's going to start with those. For all of us, it's going to start with the relationships we already have, and then bringing new people into our world. And I do want to just mention 2 other things real quickly. We've spoken about 80-20 principle in regards to many things. That is also going to be the same for the different lead sources that you're working. So number 1 is always going to be your sphere. And about 80% of your business collectively is going to come from your sphere, and at most 4 other sources. So I don't say that to say don't try things. I say that to recognize that you need it won't be an equal distribution of your time. You may have over the course of the year that let's say, 3 years from now, you've brought in business from 10 different avenues, but 80% of them is going to come from 4 of them, roughly. 85 from 5 of them. And then the remaining 5 are going to bring in the other 15. So if I allocate the same amount of time for everything, then I'm diluting my time. I could have done a lot more by just focusing on a couple core things. So whatever your core ones are, sphere is always going to be number 1 for all of us, because if we bring new people in our world, it's just to have them become a part of our sphere in the long run. And then I would say for newer agents, or any agents that are looking to scale, start with probably 2 or 3 other ones, and then just focus on those 4. And if you find out that number 4 you really don't like, or if it's not bringing you the results you're looking for, it just doesn't mesh for you. For me, I hate door knocking, but I'll call that same homeowner. So if I try door knocking and I find out, it's just not bringing me what I'm looking for in business and life, then I can add in maybe circle prospecting to still reach that same person, but through a different avenue. So try different things, but stay consistent with your core that is bringing you the majority of your results. And we can always add more as your business develops over time. And then the last thing I want to say is that Rhonda mentioned it. I put it in the chat earlier, coachtocap.com with the number 2. That's the link to my Zoom room for tomorrow's business planning clinic. That's from 12 to 2 o'clock. So we'd love to see you guys there. It is going to be in a group setting, just like today. There's going to be that I'm educating people towards economic models, GPS, that I alluded to earlier that I did not bring up today, and 411s. So helping you break down to, understand your goal for the year. What do you need to do? What plans do you need to put in place? What efforts do you have to make to have a successful Q2? Because whether you recognize it or not, the efforts you're putting in today, the majority of the outcomes are actually going to be in Q2, 3, and 4 of this year. So if you're not making the income that you want, let's say in May, it's because you didn't put in the effort today. So us being 1 quarter ahead is actually on time when it comes to business planning. That doesn't mean you can't have a successful next 2.5 months. Just means that the majority of what you are doing is going to be for 3, 6, and 9 months from now. Coach2cap.com, the link I threw in the chat, coach with the number 2. So coach as in productivity coach, 2, the number 2, and cap as in a capper within Keller Williams.
Great. So we hope to see you all there tomorrow. So we are just about ready to wrap up unless anyone has some final thoughts or anything else they would like to add. Again, we thank you for allowing us to spend these 3 hours with you and talk with you today. And, anything you need, I'm going to put my contact information in there one more time. Ben and Sam, I invite you to do the same. If anybody needs anything, we are happy to support you in your business any way we can. So any last parting thoughts before we go?
I have a quick question about
Sure.
the coach to cap. Is that at a certain time tomorrow or?
Yes, 12 to 2 o'clock.
Okay, sorry, I missed that. 12 to 2. Okay. All right, I might be able to make that. I hope I can. But
And I would say for anyone that's not able to actively engage and is able to just listen in, it might be beneficial as well. That at least you can become more familiar with business planning in real estate.
Exactly. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, great. All right, guys, thank you so much. Anything you need, please reach out to us or to your leadership if you're in a different market center. We are all here. Our leaderships, staff in all of our market centers, our whole world is around supporting you as agents and making sure you have what you need to grow your business. So please let us know how we can help. Again, thank you for tuning in today. All the sessions are recorded. We did put the YouTube link in there in the chat. So if you have missed any, please go back and watch them. Make sure you're in the Facebook group and join that conversation. Reach out, find an accountability partner, and let us know what we can do to drive your business forward. So thank you all so much.
I have one more final thing, and that final thing is to say that if anyone is looking for an accountability partner, I am more than happy to be the accountability partner for you. But just know that I take it to the extreme. And know that if you can be kept accountable, I'll leverage my software company to set up. I have a list of sponsors where I can set up any real estate networking event in the Northeast or in Florida. So if you reach out and you are the person who is taking massive actions and you want to be an accountability partner with me, I'm looking forward to work with you. So text me, numbers in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.